Welcome to the Drawn to Your Story podcast, where the interviews are reimagined into illustrations. I'm your host, Matty Mitchell, and I'm amped to share with you episode 2 with Mark Sparkles Spleen. Mark shares how he followed his passion into the music industry and how getting fired as a band manager made him realise he still had more to learn, which led him to going back to school trading his rockstar jeans to a navy blue suit. He also sheds light on how he still scratches his music industry itch. Let's dig in. Alright, welcome to episode 2 with Mark Sparkles Spleen. Thank you very much for coming and being a test subject here.
Man, happy to do it.
Are you?
Yeah, no, I am. I mean, it's mostly the guilt, but I am happy to be here.
Yeah, the guilt.
It's great, man. Having Fridays off.
I hold it over. It just took the day off.
I had nothing better to do.
All right, first off, as I said in the intro, your nickname is Sparkles. How did you get that nickname?
Do you want the truth?
The whole truth. Nothing but the truth.
I used to tell people it was because I played in a punk band and we had this stage trick with like sparklers and gaffer tape.
And your pants down.
Yeah, and no pants. But that was not true. It was a friend of mine at uni, Hermione. We had to do a radio interview and needed a fake name, and we just flipped like sort of Mark Spillane, Spark Mullane. And then it became Sparky, and then she started calling me Sparkles.
I always thought it was because like you said you had a sparkle in your eye.
I did that. I said that to ladies. That was also not true.
I thought that was true till this
Really?
moment.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know about the flipping the name part.
Well, there you go.
No, I just listened.
It's
I feel like our whole relationship's been
It's built
based
on a lie. It's true. Maybe this is not true. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, they say memory, you can't trust it.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe I'm making it up. I don't know. You'll have to do a side interview with Hermione to find out the truth.
I have to go back
and
track the history of
track that down. But she gave it to me, and then I started working at Supersonic with Roscoe, a mutual friend of ours. Mm-hmm. And she called the office, and like it was like my first real job. And she called the office, and he picked up the phone, and she was like, "Hey, is Sparkles there?" And he's like, "Sorry, who?" Oh, sorry. I mean, Mark. Is Mark there? And then he's like, hang on 2 seconds. Hangs up, and then he's like, "Yo, Sparkles." And I was like, "What?" It's like your friend Hermione's on the phone, and then put the call through.
That was the best thing that ever happened. So I remember, I think we were hanging out that night or that day, and you told me like, "Hey, this happened," and I said, "Own it," because that's an awesome nickname. And I remember we were just like, I was like, "That's from it from now on." Like we're introducing it to anyone.
Yeah,
like,
and it's true because it, as you know, Mark is not the most exciting name in the world.
Well, neither is Matt.
yeah, I know. It's like us and the Chris's hanging out.
Like if we had a podcast, you and me, "Hey, this is Matt and Mark."
Yeah.
It's
pretty boring. Yeah. So here we are just being interviewed. So it's great. Can't wait till nobody listens to this. No. So yeah, I agreed. I think it was you that told me that was a great idea and I should just embrace it. And it is true because if you call someone and it's like Sparkles is on the phone, then they're just going to pick up the phone because that's a weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they remember like Sparkles from Supersonic, Sparkles from Heatsy. Like, it just became easier. Like it's even in my email signature now for my business because I'm known so well. But now people call me Mark because of my more professional job.
Oh yeah.
So
we'll get into the professional job later on.
But because that's a weird thing to be called
at work.
Yeah.
Hey, let's sign this $1 million deal
with
Sparkles.
Yeah. No, not going to happen.
No.
So my mum still calls me Mark though.
Yeah. Does she have a nickname that goes with that? Like, Marky or
Mike.
Mike?
Yeah, because she confuses my name with her brother's name all the time. Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Mike, could you... I mean, Mark. Yeah. I'm like, cool, 38 years.
38 years down.
You named me. That's sweet.
Just go with Sparkles, Mum.
Yeah.
Just stick with that.
Maybe I should recommend that. It might work.
All right. So I think it's kind of funny on how we know each other. So let's.
Do you really want to get into that?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we should.
I've
I've already got tears in my eyes from laughing. So
both come from Mandurah, obviously.
Which is a small town down in Western Australia.
Yeah.
I think it had the highest unemployment rate in Australia at one point.
But also had the highest density of millionaires at one point. Because people loved...
Retired.
Because back in like the 90s, the canals were huge.
Oh, yeah.
People were all about that canal life.
Yeah. They seem pretty nice. I drove through there the other day. It was really nice.
I haven't.
When's the last time you went down to Mandurah? You've driven through it,
months. Yeah. I used to say like every time I drive down south or something, I'm like, if I never achieve anything else in my life, I'm like, I don't live there anymore. That's it. Tick, done.
Man, you really are not for it.
No, I didn't love it, but soz Mandurah. I'm sure it's changed and stuff now. I don't know. I just wanted to get out of there, but we grew up in Mandurah. You were a skater that I knew, kind of
bucket hat wearing skater.
Yep. And I played in punk bands.
Yeah.
And
what was the punk band at the time? Equilibrium.
Oh yeah.
Why are you?
I don't know. I just don't like the name. I was like,
who
it's
cares?
a terrible name.
That's 20 years ago.
I know. You should see. I'm embarrassed about the name, but yeah, my hair was great. Terrible blonde afro at the time. But yeah, I think I thought you were like some super arrogant skater dude. And you thought I was some super arrogant like punk dude.
So I thought you were a super music snob.
Oh yeah.
And so I thought like you were like, oh cool, but I just thought because you were quieter than what I was, a little bit, and then I was like, oh, he's just like
it would be hard to be louder than you at that time.
At that time, especially.
Yeah. I just thought you were super arrogant, and then I think when we started hanging out properly, we were like,
So
you were like, oh, you're not actually like a snob. You're just real shy.
No, it's like our two worlds, like our friend worlds, sort of went through it together.
It's Cobbler's Tavern days.
Tavern, yeah, that's right. Because you guys would play gigs there so much.
Yeah, so Moose like started putting on shows there.
Yeah.
And then I started doing shows there as well.
Yeah.
He kind of opened it up. And then Friday nights at Cobbler's Tavern, that was the place to be. The Hard-Ons played there.
The Hard-Ons?
Great Australian punk band.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and Somerset, this New Zealand kind of post-hardcore band.
Yeah. Cobblers has changed now though.
Yeah.
You would not recognise it, I don't think.
No beauty pageants in the courtyard anymore.
No beauty pageants walking around that dirty tree with all cigarette butts in
Amazing.
So quickly we'll just so we end up Sparkles here thought that I was an arsehole. I thought he was a snob. We end up hanging out a little bit, but we run into each other about 2 or 3 years later after we both sort of moved up to Perth and Fremantle, right?
Yeah, it was at the train station.
Yeah.
I think Perth train station. You were finishing up your job at Waves.
Oh, that's right. I did work there.
And
Waves is a surf shop. It was out at one of them was out at Carousel, which is a mall type place.
Yeah, and I think I don't know what I was doing.
I
was working, but
I think you were already at Supersonic.
Yeah, but I don't know why I was in the city.
Yeah.
Don't know. But anyway, we bumped into each other, and I was
then
like, you're up here.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing tonight? And I think we just started hanging out from that point on, like going out 4 or 5 nights a week doing...
Yeah, because we knew no one else.
No one else.
So it was like convenience, but then actually it was rad.
Yeah, but I think it was also, we were so down to say yes to each other. Like you would say yes to come skateboarding. I would say yes to like, not just music gigs, but like, hey, I'm working a door, and I'd just come sit down below the counter, and you would do ripping tickets or whatever, and we'd just be like talking or whatever.
Yeah.
Doing that stuff. We had a lot of fun stories.
We were just bored.
Huh?
We were like, we were bored, and then but we had just up to doing whatever was going on.
Yeah, we'd be down for yeses.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. So after all that stuff, where I end up is what I really think of you after knowing you for, I think we just worked out 20 years. You're fucked.
20 years of knowing each other, like we said before, 15 years of liking each other.
You said 15 years of liking each other. I was
you were like 19.
I was like 19 and a half in 2 days. No, so what's ended up happening is I look at you as one of the best people I know in the world. even my wife, she'll be like, I don't know how you get these people around you, and especially people like Sparkles, who they're so intelligent, they're so nice, they're so driven, they are just all round great people. And like, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the podcast, is I just wanted to have this experience with you on here, and sort of, we probably won't get into all our nitty gritty and like stuff, and we maybe have to do another one.
Not that interesting for people, all the nitty gritty stuff. But
well, I think there'll be like funny stories.
Nice. Yeah,
but there would be. I think that could be a future podcast of come back and like, let's just tell funny yarns. But I think with this one, it would be fun to go through. What I find really interesting about you is how where your work started, ended up, and where you are now, well, middle and ended up now, and then together. So
that's such a nice thing to say, though. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I kept talking over you.
That's okay. I was just like, "What's up?" Think you're all right too.
Like, I don't know. I don't know if I don't think I put you on a pedestal, because I think you deserve to be there. Like, in my mind, I'm like, you are definitely one of the best human beings I know.
Ah, thanks, man.
Yeah, not trying to be corny for this. That's truth.
All right, I'll put it on my LinkedIn.
We'll cuddle after this.
Nah, yeah, we will. Oh, you make me embarrassed.
I'm blushing. So let's go through a quick 5 questions, and you can rattle them off. You don't have to go too deep if you don't want to. But what was your first album that you bought?
First album that I bought, like with my own money.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the most important. Like when it's your hard-earned money, and you're like, "That's me." Unless you're like Christmas money or whatever, you're like, I got it.
No, the first album I bought was probably Green Day Dookie
Oh.
on cassette.
Oh, cassette.
I know. And it was like, I remember buying it. I also like the first CD. I remember buying the first CD, but the first album was that on cassette. Because I just remember it sounded so fast at the time.
Wow, yeah.
Like, they're playing and everything. I'd never heard anything like
it. Were you playing music before this, or like?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I think by the time I started playing guitar, CDs were out. So,
okay.
this is just like.
How old were you at this point, you reckon?
I don't know. Maybe like. How old would I have been? Like maybe 10.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think an early
10 or 11.
purchase. Where are you hearing Green Day? Just on Triple J and stuff like that? Like your
No, I wasn't listening to Triple J at
Yeah.
the time. So I think they'd maybe broken through to mainstream radio, because I didn't start listening to Triple J until I was in high school. There's like a friend I had early high school that got me into Triple J, and great alternative music and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, before that, I'd been listening to like hits of '89 and Sonia Dada, bro.
Sonia Dada?
Yeah. You don't love. Oh, you don't mean no good no more. Yeah, that song.
No good no more.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to cut that out because you don't have the rights to it. But no, that
they're not gonna consider that.
yeah, an accurate representation. So Sonia Dada, but no, I think like that was gifted music because I never had money to buy it, and I think I might have saved up and bought Green Day. So
how much was a cassette? Do you remember?
I don't know. I remember it seeming prohibitively expensive.
I
music was very expensive.
Yeah. Well, CDs back here were like $30. You hear about what it was in the States, and after living there for 12 years and how cheap everything can be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's $7 or $10. And I'm like, that's how everyone over there seems to have a huge collection of music.
Yeah.
Because you can throw out $7 pretty easily.
Boom. I remember buying that first CD I bought was Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, and I remember like buying it from like tracks in the Mandra Forum.
One of my friends used to work there. Jade Day. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Maybe I bought it off her. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I was pretty young though, but I bought it because it had like I was tossing up between that and something else, and I bought it because it had 2 CDs. It was a double album, and I was like, man, so much music for $30.
Yeah.
But $30 when you're earning like $4 an hour or $5 an hour, whatever it was, as a, like a casual.
It was more than that, right? Back then.
I don't think so. I think it was really low for a kid. I think it was like $5, maybe $7 an hour, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, if it's $7 an hour, you're like, great, I just worked 4 hours.
I can buy one CD.
One CD.
Yeah, I feel like it was a lot lower, but I don't know. Maybe that's, like as you get older, you're like, oh man, life was so hard.
Yeah.
It's like we had to walk to school on my hands because we couldn't afford shoes. Yeah.
I had one club, so I had to hop on that hand.
Yeah.
All right. So you have lived in a lot of houses. How many roommates do you reckon you have had?
How many roommates? Okay. So my first house I had 3 roommates at different times.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved in with you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Oh yeah, that's right.
you, Risha. That's like
Risha wasn't there though at the time,
wasn't she?
no, because that's how you.
Oh,
were,
that's how I
but-
got in.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 5 so far.
Yep.
Then from there we moved into Quarry Street.
Yep. We had
So that's
TG was there for a hot second.
Yeah. So that's 3
Yeah.
more there. So that's 8. And then another 3 moved in after you guys moved out.
Yeah.
So that's where are we up to? 11.
Another 3 moved in. I didn't know it was that many.
Yeah, I had a couple and like Kingy's brother.
Oh wow.
Um,
And the landlord was okay with that, or you didn't tell him what?
no, I think they were cool
Oh.
with that.
Yeah, because
I still have their
they
number
were
in my
super
phone.
particular. Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
What's it like? I feel like it was Wombat.
Philip, was it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So was that 13? Did I say 13? I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah,
12.
Yeah, 12, 13. Yeah.
Then from there, where did I move from there? Oh, I moved in with. Where did I go from there?
Tom Gannon over here.
Yeah, no, that was after. So I moved to Melbourne. So there's one
Oh,
housemate.
that's right. Yeah.
Oh no, plus Roscoe. That's something else. So that's right up to. So it's 15. So they're back. So I reckon plus down there. I reckon 20.
20?
Yeah.
That's
20
a
housemates.
lot of different personalities to have to deal with.
But I never had a bad house though.
Oh, that's
I
good.
don't think I've lived in a share house where I was like, I've got to get out of here. It was always people I knew.
Yeah, and we're kind of down with. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving with you guys was great.
That was a fun time.
Yeah. That what was it? The
Cliff Street house?
Cliff Street house was
Oh my gosh.
such a good time.
For the people who are listening, we lived downtown in this little apartment that was on the back street, and you had to go through a gate to get in there, and it was so good. It was so downtown. We didn't need a car. We could walk everywhere.
Yeah, it was.
We
And
had
the kitchen was full of limestone dust because the wall,
remember the mice?
like a heritage listed wall, would just
Yeah.
crumble in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
But rad house, it's kind of like a cool house, like what you would imagine a cool house to look like.
Yeah.
Just filled with terrible furniture.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But like none of us had any money, so we
No.
just had all this old furniture. The lonely bed downstairs.
I just remember moving out and finding a bag of rotten potatoes in the cupboard.
Oh, that's what that smell
That-
was. Remember?
Yeah, that nobody. Only lived there for 3 months
Yeah.
because then I moved in and then they
I always thought that smell
closed us
was
down.
like the sewer pipes or like something that I was like, oh man, that stinks so bad. Must be something I can't fix. And we never wanted to hassle the landlords
or
be
investigate the cupboard where the potatoes were.
No.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
cool.
they even had when we found it was they were growing new potatoes out of them.
It did turn to liquid.
Oh, had it?
Yeah. So the smell was like that.
Whoa.
It was awful. Scarred me for life.
You've never eaten a potato since.
No, but I never left a potato. It's like, get some ears. That thing is out of there. 2
days. You're like, it's been there too long.
Yeah. So this is it. This is the great life skills that you learn in the share house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of potatoes.
Yes, it is.
But first job.
First job. I think before we started this, you were like, "Oh, you worked at Eagle Boys," and I was like, "I never worked at Eagle Boys."
Eagle Boys was a pizza place back down in Mandurah, and I thought that you were working there because every time I'd go order pizza, or we'd go there to it was a Friday night, and you'd swing through and you'd be like, oh yeah, let's go say hi to these cats.
Yeah.
And we'd get a pizza. You'd be there, and I was like, oh, he must be working there. But
No, I was. So I think it's one of those weird things. I don't know if anybody else does it or did it, but It's like when it's a Friday night, you have Friday night off maybe from your normal job, and your friends work somewhere like that where they weren't busy all the time, so they're like delivery drivers. You could just go hang out and you have a couple of beers in their car while they're driving around. You're chatting. You're putting we were so into music. It's like Blake Angus had this car stereo and the great speakers.
Yeah.
And we'd just play punk rock CDs in his car, and I'd drink beers. He'd drive and deliver pizzas, and it was like hanging out. Like what else are you gonna do?
I did the same thing.
There's
with
no
Nick at the store, and people do it at the surf shops that I worked at. They just come and hang out for hours, and it was sick.
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So
and you want to be around your friends.
Yeah.
But
but it sounds weird. Like
if we'd put money on it, I feel like I could picture you in the Eagle Boys shirt they used to wear.
Maybe I had one. I don't know.
Maybe you put it on just so then people came in. You're like, no,
I'm chilling.
Yeah, I'm good.
Collect my paycheck. No, but my first job was actually McDonald's. So
I think I still have your McDonald's shirt.
Yeah. I've seen it. The green one.
Yeah,
the green stripe.
It's
a crew trainer shirt.
It's a training shirt?
Crew trainer. So
trainer.
It's the first promotion you get at McDonald's. It's like,
wow, I'm leveling up.
Yeah.
I get so many compliments on that, and I get so many people go, is that a McDonald's shirt? And they'll be like, yeah, and they'll be like, that's really cool. And I'll be like, I stole it off a mate of mine. I can't really take credit for it.
I actually went to buy a collared shirt to wear for work, and it was like a bold, white and green stripe shirt. And I was like, oh, Layla, what do you think about this? And she's like, would kind of make you look like you worked at McDonald's. And I was like, oh yeah, legit. It actually would.
That'd be sick if you're you put on and you go to work into McDonald's and they think you're an exec because you got your suit on still. And they're like, oh, yeah, come in, come check this out. And you're like, let me test those fries. Let me test that burger.
I think they've changed the uniform since then. Yeah. They're less candy stripe kind of vibe. But yeah, I got that job when I was I think the limit was 14 and 9 months when you could get employed, and I was on the border of that, and I got the job because I wanted to earn my own money.
Wow. From that age you wanted to earn your own money? Was it something you had to do, like your parents wanted you to do, or was it that you were like, I need to have my own independence?
I think I was not forced into it, but it was like, if you wanted anything, you had to make it happen. So if I wanted to play soccer, I had to get the money for to pay them the fee to play.
Oh, damn.
If I wanted to, I wanted to surf, so I had to save up the money for the surfboard. So it was
wow.
Yeah. If you wanted to do something, you had to.
That's it. Do it. I think that's on the next level. I can understand the surfboard and stuff, but usually sports, they're like, oh, we've got you covered on that because it's team building and it's that sort of vibe.
Yeah, but I think it was that certain. I don't know. It was certainly not I would have been around that age. I think obviously anything before then I got covered because I wasn't out doing stuff, but I was also really motivated to work. I wanted a paper route when I was younger. Oh. But then I think maybe lots of kids want a paper route because it seems
paper
cool.
route is the biggest scam.
Yeah, it's a terrible job. You don't get paid anything.
Nothing.
It's a lot of work. American movies are to blame for lots of kids wanting a paper route.
It's so much.
Because that idyllic thing of the kid with the basket with the papers in the front or the satchel. Yeah, and it's just it is not that.
No.
You are delivering junk mail to
junk mail, and you're putting it into people's letter boxes.
And you're getting a couple of cents of paper.
Yeah. And when you calculate that stuff in your head, you're like, oh, I'm going to be able to crank out all these and do it all in one day. And you're like, no, the timing just doesn't work. That's why you see people who do it now, they do it in cars. They don't do it in... I see a couple of kids walk around here now, but...
Well, they use their whole family.
Yeah.
Child labour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah,
more kids.
So McDonald's. I was super stoked to get that job.
I would be. Did you eat a lot of McDonald's back then?
Yeah, so bad.
Yeah.
Dude, I got I think it was fine for most of the time. And then I think, went maybe around, 18 or 19, I think my metabolism just shut down. Because I started
that
put on weight.
Guy that was eating McDonald's for a month.
Yeah. But I was years.
Yeah.
So in your face.
Oh, you lasted a month. Good deal.
I did it for a month. Oh. No, because it's you get 50% off your meals. So as a kid, you know, you're only earning whatever it was per hour.
Yeah.
And and you're there.
Yeah.
So it's like I have my break. I can get 50%. I can get a McChicken meal for $3 or something like, or I can go. What else am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't like pack dinner or anything.
No.
Because it's like food's right there. So I ate a lot of McDonald's. It was, I don't know. I used to work breakfast a lot.
Did you really?
Yeah, I can still crack an egg in each hand
and then split it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a skill that most people would not have picked up
or need. So yeah,
I don't know. Once you start, like when kids come into the picture, bang bang, couple of going on.
I'm ready. Quick fire. But it was good. It was good. I worked there for ages, and I did maintenance there, which was the nighttime shift.
Okay.
When I was saving up to go to Europe, I worked at the CD store.
Yeah.
Then
Sanity, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, which was a great job. Then, so worked at Sanity, did night times at the McDonald's doing maintenance. So you clean the store from when they shut to like 8 a.m.
Wow.
But I used to say, can I do 7 a.m? And I just didn't have a break because I wanted to get home and get to sleep before I had to go back to the CD store.
Wow. I didn't know you did that much double time. Even back then, I feel like you're still pretty active out and about.
Yeah, I think Thursday nights there was something on at Players Bar, which was like there was bands on, I think, at Players Bar on Thursdays, and there was $2 middies. And I think because I was saving to go to Europe, I would have like my treat was to have like $2 middies.
At what age are you at this?
21 at that point. So
that's pretty early on for your brain to kick into gear to say, I'm going to be working double shifts to go traveling, and my treat is $2 middies. Like you're putting constrictions on yourself.
I'm an alcoholic, Matt.
No. I'm saying like that to even be aware that to do that. Like a lot of people would be like, oh, going out's a bit of a necessity, or like I'm missing out on something here. But you had the foresight to say, this here is taking a back seat to the adventures that could happen. Because you had some great times when you traveled.
It was like, I remember like, especially because I had 3 jobs at that time. So I was also organising. I had a contract with the Mandurah City Council to organise.
I was just about to get into that.
Gigs.
Yep.
So I was doing that as well in my spare time. And so I was just trying to save heaps of money as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. But then the relief, like I remember the first night in Paris, other than being absolutely terrified, because just people don't speak English. I remember like trying to get the train to where we needed to go from, I can't remember. It was like we got ourselves to Gare du Nord, and then from there trying to get to Montmartre. And some dude luckily spoke English and was like, you guys are lost. Yeah. I'm like, how do we get through here? But yeah, that feeling of relief of being in Paris that first day and waking up and being like, what am I going to do today? It's like, I can do anything. Like, what do I want? Not what am I going to do? Like, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
It's like, and what I wanted to do was drink a bottle of wine and eat bread and cheese. But like, I could do anything. I was like, if I want to leave Paris now, I can leave and we can go somewhere. We've got
and you'd never had that feeling before,
ever. Like,
and were you with friends? Like, were you just solo?
With Kingy. Yeah. So, yeah. It was never had that feeling before of like the world is your oyster kind of thing.
Wow.
Crazy feeling to have at like 21 and be like, because you've saved up so much money, you've got like $15,000 in the bank.
Dang.
On that first, obviously.
If I had $15,000 at the bank at that age, I would have felt like I was the richest person in the world.
I'd shovel it. Maybe I should have, but luckily I didn't because I was like, I know that I can need to make this last for as long as possible. Yeah. I ate so many kebabs because it was like the cheapest thing you could get. And
like it was kebabs like here, like where you wrapped kebabs, or
yeah. So they're everywhere, and they're just cheap. Yeah. Like,
are they delicious though?
I remember I had one in Paris, and I was like, I'd never like the fries were I just remember like they were insane. I think they were double fried, which was not a thing in Australia at the time. Like now, for sure.
Yeah.
But there, it was like no one would ever. I was like, I don't know what they do to these fries, but they're amazing.
Mind-blowing.
Like, yeah. And because we were walking so much, like I still like walking when I go traveling.
Yeah,
like
so do I.
Would rather not catch transport everywhere. Like you got to walk in a city to know it. I think.
Like we did in New York when we were
there. Crazy walks.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I walked off all the kebabs and the fries and the beers and stuff.
Isn't that crazy? Like I didn't get my license until I was 25, as you know.
Yeah, I know.
And then
you still owe me.
I should drive you home now and just walk back.
You did one night.
I did. So like even how much I walked back then, and then when I got a full-time job, even just working in a skate shop and not walking around as much, I felt it. And then once I got full-time and I was sitting down doing web design, I was like, oh dang, my body's just used to just burning off so much of this crap that I eat, which didn't slow me from eating all that crap. But
yeah, it's like you've adjusted one side of the equation, but not the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, I found that as well. Like, I definitely, like, there was a phase I definitely stacked on. I was probably like 10 kilos heavier than I am now, just from like alcohol consumption, or just like working in a pub, regular, beers after work, like that kind of stuff, and living like a young person's life of going to parties and things like that, but then not doing any exercise or any movement kind of stuff.
I don't know how some people have it, but there's some people that just do all that stuff and then in their brain they're like, but I have to exercise an hour a day, or like that is like just a part of their process in life, where it's a grind for me to even try and, like, I've been doing yoga lately and just trying to get my brain to be like, okay, luckily my wife set it up and she's like, you're doing it.
Someone's keeping you accountable.
Yeah, exactly. Or just even like it's set up so you have to do it, otherwise you're losing money kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, I have to. But I had a gym membership and I was like,
I'm definitely going to go use that.
Or I don't go do it. I'd push myself and I'd be like, couldn't move my arms for 2 days, and then I'd be like, I'll go next week. No, I'll go the week, just lapses longer and longer. I just canned it a couple of months ago now.
But I think there's people that like sport really connects with.
Yeah.
Like organized stuff. And I was never one of those people. I played a lot of different sports. Like
me too.
Did the sampler of different sports, but nothing like I was like, this is my passion. My passion is like, playing soccer or whatever it was. I always just did other stuff. So like skateboarding or surfing or that other, like,
I can't imagine you on a surfboard. I know that we've been
I
surfing
was not good,
twice.
Matt. It was not pretty.
I've been surfing lately. You should see me now. It's terrible.
Dude, I'd be keen to get back into some kids' waves.
Oh, you should come with me. I got a couple of killer boards you should borrow.
Like big canoes?
Yeah, well, like just out the back here, we got some foamies that my mum's boyfriend gave us.
Look at us, cool.
Yeah.
We're cool dudes.
Oh, yeah, you should see me. Yeah. I'm like a toothpick with just this bulge around his belly, with like an olive in the middle.
Yeah, do they make wetsuits that fit that?
Yeah. Luckily they do.
That's so good. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's like you had skateboarding.
Yeah.
Which is like an activity that you enjoy that keeps you fit. And then it's
But I didn't have, like, I think the gap that missed is there was people that skateboarded or surfed that would exercise to make them better at that, or be like, oh no, I need to maintain that.
I didn't understand. I don't think like, as dumb as it sounds, I don't think I understood that until I was working for a company in Perth called Boomtic that promote dance music stuff. And a guy I worked with, Micah, just laid the truth on me one day. And he's like, dude, you are over 30. You're getting fat. You need to exercise. Like, all the things you used to do, great. But if you don't exercise, like, you're not burning it off.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
But it's amazing how much you need to exercise to burn off the littlest, calories and everything like that.
It's so depressing if you look at, like, how much you burn doing a burpee and how hard burpees are. And you're like, oh man, that is so depressing. It's like, I need to do like 1 million burpees.
Yeah, just to burn off one burger.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So yeah, it's like, yeah, it makes you think a lot more about what you eat and stuff.
I fully agree, and something that I struggle with a lot. I'm trying to get better. I'm just reading a book now called Tiny Habits, and I'm trying to break my sugar sort of addiction. Like I have a very sweet tooth, as you know, and so I've been trying to find
Just
little
for
ways.
everybody, how many teaspoons of sugar do you have in your tea?
Well, they're not teaspoons, they're tablespoons, and it was 2.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably gone down since I've known you.
Yeah, definitely.
You've cut back.
I cut back, but I will say I don't have as many teas anymore. So like I have 1 tea a day max, and if that might be like 1 every 2-3 days.
Yeah.
And obviously it will fluctuate. But then when I first moved back here, I was I'd go up to the store, like we'd just need stuff, and be like, oh, I'll go to the store and grab a candy bar. Oh, grab another candy bar. Oh, strawberry milk, and I'll be like, all the stuff I wasn't having. Oh, I was still eating stuff over in the States, but all the stuff I wasn't
allowed, like you couldn't get.
Yeah, exactly. Like
do they not have strawberry milk?
I'm sure they do, but it was like the what's it called?
But it's not Masters or
Masters. That's exactly right. Masters milk or something, or oat milk or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That one's really nice. And I was just like smashing it a ton. So I've been really trying to be conscious of like not doing that stuff. So I treat it like not like sobriety.
Yeah.
So not treating it like that, but in my brain I'll be like, so last night I had a little bit of a lapse and I had a couple of Skittles.
Yeah.
But now I'll be like, okay, now I'm back to day 0, and it's more about the candy for me, because if I fall over on that, then I'm like,
other stuff follows.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to get it to a point where I can be like, okay, I can have one every once in a while, and I'm gonna feel satisfied. And I've been pretty good so far. Like I had a handful last night, but I'm trying to make it where it's like been a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks without candy.
Well,
so
yeah, I mean, you're not the only one. Like I struggle with that with like chocolate or biscuits for some weird reason. Like if we have those
like
in
the Arnott's ones,
just any biscuits. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know what it is. If we have them in the house, I'm like
the old Chips Ahoy, like the hard, like even those ones.
Man, a Scotch finger, like
A Scotch finger?
yeah.
Do you have Werther's original with it?
Yeah, I've got the taste of an old man. It's cool. But I love Scotch fingers, dude.
They're the ones that break, right?
Yeah, in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Why
like
not just have a Kit Kat?
It's like a Twix with no
live life and have a Kit Kat.
Yeah, but I mean, it's even at that level. Like a Kit Kat, it would be game over. That thing wouldn't last. But it's, I have trouble like not. If I have one, I'm like, yeah, I'll just have another one.
Yeah.
I'll have one later.
Yeah. And it's the thing
if
is,
they're just in the house, just can't have them in the house.
Yeah. The kids have Skittles in the house. Like that's how we bribe them with stuff. And for a while there, I was just like, like last night, I like grabbed a handful and had a couple of like, while I was sketching late at night. And before that, it would have been like 3 handfuls. Oh my gosh, I don't have enough for the kids in the morning. So then we got to go to the store in the morning to get Skittles so we can bribe them to do their little.
Oh yeah,
things.
I've got to go to the store in the morning to get some Skittles for the kids.
Then I can feed my addiction the next night.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been much better than that.
That's good.
Backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
I wanted to just hit where I want this sort of to go through is going through to how your music sort of career started.
Yep.
So like where you what made you pick up your first guitar, then hit the band, but then sort of going through you spoke about working for the Mandurah Council of setting up gigs and stuff like that, and I think that led you through to Supersonic and that sort of stuff. So let's start off at where your first guitar.
Picking up my first guitar, I think, I don't know. I had a friend might have been like early high school. I was a Cub Scout. I was a scout. I think
a scouter. Oh, did
I was
you
a
hear
scout.
they went bankrupt in the States?
No, I did not hear that.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It's the nerdiest thing. But I met this dude, Justin, and he was really good at guitar, and he had a guitar, and like I was like,
Electric or acoustic?
It was electric. It was like an Ibanez. It was black neck, black head, red like candy. like
Wow.
cherry red like body.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, that is like the coolest thing ever. And he had an old guitar, I think, that he lent me at one point. But I was just like obsessed. I used to like try and learn it, and then I started doing it at school. I think at Cooten Senior High, the high school in Mandurah that I went to.
The dodgiest school in Mandurah.
It was really nice at that point.
Was
it
it?
had a lot of funding because it was in a low socioeconomic area, and the government was pumping in cash. So we had we had sailing lessons.
Yeah, no, I'm from Mandurah High. I feel like that we might have been the dodgiest one.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. And yeah, they had a great music program there. So I got to play guitar at school and I practiced at school. And then I think I saved up and bought an acoustic guitar, terrible acoustic.
Yeah.
And I was friends with Jules Burt.
Oh, yeah.
And his whole family were great at guitar.
Wow.
So
you'd go and play with them?
Yeah, I'd try.
Mm-hmm.
They were very good. Jules is like super lovely dude. So with never ending patience. So,
man, I'm so jealous of those people.
I know. Damn it, being talented at stuff.
Just the patience.
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
The talent's like anyone can pick that up for whatever, but the patience, I think, so many people miss out on that, and I'm definitely one of them.
Well, you're doing good so far, Matt, in this interview.
I think the people here are the ones that have the patience. They're still here listening.
Sorry, Mum. Yes, just pick going it. I don't exactly remember like why I picked it up. I was just like,
it seems like you were influenced by your cherry red guitar, dude.
Yeah, and I was into it, and I was like, this is cool. And I think I started to get into, like around that time, started to get into like Nirvana, and The Offspring, like Ignition. It's a great album, and Smash.
Yeah.
And Nirvana was like Bleach and Nevermind were like great. Like I loved those albums.
Isn't it like sometimes I hear even the sound of those albums and I'll be able to smell, like just it'll trigger a smell of back that time when I first like either listened to that album or
it was like
heard about it.
B.O. and Old Spice or something.
No, not me. It was like the house that I grew up in was like cigarettes and bong rips and surfboard wax and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's it. Like, I
feel like those smells, like they go with those albums.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
If you were like, what smells go with Nirvana's
like
Bleach? You're like, bong rips, cigarettes, surfboard wax.
Yeah.
And probably some beer in there somewhere.
Oh,
or something.
yeah, definitely.
But, so it was good. I loved guitar. I think my passion for it was greater than my skill. But
that's half my life. My passion is like no skills, just passion and along.
Yeah, that's why I love punk music because it's about passion, not about skill.
How long until you got into bands? And then what was your first band?
I don't know. I was in high school, so probably maybe year 10 or 11. I think probably year 11. I met, I think Michael Charlesworth.
Oh yeah.
Invited me they wanted to start a band, him and Steve Choate.
I'm interviewing Steve Choate on Monday.
Are you? The camel trainer, Steve Choate.
Yeah. That's why he just gets in these crazy adventures that he chooses to do.
So good.
So I'm like, let's chat about that stuff.
Well, back then he was just like some ripped dude who shredded on guitar.
Yeah.
And so him and Charlie were like starting a band with some other dude. I can't remember who it was. And the other guy was going to sing. And then they wanted me to play bass. Mm-hmm. So I went around and I think I'd started learning bass at that point. I started practicing bass because I was really into Rage Against the Machine's album. And then Evil Empire. Yeah. And then, went round and I said, can I play a couple of songs I've written? Yeah. And I played them probably terrible songs. But they were super impressed.
Tell me you have some of the recordings of those.
No, I don't think so.
That would be so cool.
I don't know.
I have one of the, like, as we'll get further, but the electric band.
That you played? Do you have one of the tracks?
Yeah, MJM.
Yeah.
I have that on my phone, so and it'll pop round up, and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is a good track, and they'll be like, oh, hang on, it's these guys. Like,
so Charlie was the singer.
Yeah.
Still playing bass with Nick. with Moose,
Yeah.
who was a great drummer. But yeah, and then we formed a band, and I don't think they ever. I think they told the other dude that it was Equilibrium.
Oh, so that was the start of Equilibrium.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you would have had a couple of dodgy little bands before that.
That was a dodgy little band, man. It was the biggest band in Mandurah, though.
It was
at the time.
I was so amped for it. Like I was like, you're a snob, but hey, this is super cool. You're doing that.
Yeah. I found some photos of me back then the other day, and I was like, oh man, such a weedy little dude.
You're gonna have to send me some so I can
post
them up.
So bad.
So you go Equilibrium, which, to be fair, that did get played on Triple J at one point, right?
Well, yeah, MP3s just came out, which is mind blowing to people, I'm sure. But so you could email music files.
Yeah.
So I think Triple J on the request show or something we're doing like an MP3 thing.
Yeah.
And we sent in one, and they played us on the radio. And I remember like I didn't have a proper website or anything, and I remember like telling them the address, and it was like www.westnet.something / squiggle blah blah blah, and they were like, "Is that really the website address?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
What were you expecting back then? You're lucky they didn't have to carve it out of stone and send it into something.
I know, yeah. So it was like geocities.something. So yeah, I don't know, but it was good fun. We definitely we're not
you
professional.
You guys played a lot of gigs though, and you're like
played a lot of parties.
A lot of parties.
Yeah. And like played at Culver's, played at the Peninsula Hotel down on the water there, which is like a classic spot.
Yeah. You guys had a lot of fun doing it, right?
Oh yeah, it was great fun.
Tons of fun.
So it was so good, so much fun.
For anyone who is listening to this, that I doubt there's any teenagers actually going like, "Hey, I'm going to listen."
Let's do what this old guy did.
But like, what advice would you have for that era? Like, do you go like, "Hey, just live in the moment and enjoy if it turns into nothing, just live in it and enjoy it as much as you can," or "Hey, take this bit of nugget of advice and run with that"?
I don't know. I'd figure out what you want to do with it, because like being organized can be fun, right?
Yeah.
That's the nerdiest thing to say. But I mean, like being like having a plan and stuff. If you want to do music as a career, have a plan, right? Don't think it's going to come and just like a lightning bolt from the sky.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't happen. Rarely does that happen.
Yeah.
But if it's just like something fun you want to do and you want to play in punk bands or like probably, hip hop now, it's probably a similar kind of thing. Like lo-fi doesn't take much setup or much like, you can learn to rap basically pretty quickly. Like you can learn to play
You got bars for us right now?
No. I imagine. Or you can learn to play like punk tracks pretty quickly, because you don't have to be good to just do something.
Do you think punk would make a comeback?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever gone anywhere.
Well, how I'm not saying it's gone anywhere, but there's definitely stuff that like is highlighted and then maybe dips down a little bit. In this day and age, everyone's got like their own pockets, I guess.
Yeah,
a bit easier to get a hold of.
Yeah, I think like it'll ebb and flow like anything. So like we're things feel real production heavy right now. Mm-hmm. So it's producers.
So
it's
away
like
from that.
Yeah, and it's all like at home working on your working on your computer. You're using Ableton, using whatever. And I think there'll be a reaction to that.
Yeah.
And that reaction might be punk again, where people are like, no, I want loud guitars and I want like 4 dudes in a room and it's like sweaty and it's not produced. It's just rough. That seems like a logical thing for it to go.
Does it feel weird to be old enough where you've seen, like, as I would say, as I was a teenager, punk and grunge were sort of there. Then it went hip hop, R&B were right at the pinnacle, and I feel like that still sticks around. Maybe because I listen to so much hip hop, but then punk came back right back in with emo punk and everything. Yeah, and it dipped down again, and hip hop sort of come back, and now there's like K-pop and all those sort of music.
Yeah, neo soul and things like that.
And indie, like, and then they had the folk, like, was it like folk, not folk music, but like with Jack Johnson be under.
Yeah, I suppose folk music, like back in, Yeah, there was that sort of Ben Harper-y,
Yeah.
Jack Johnson-y kind of phase. I
still fuck with the Jack Johnson first album on vinyl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Played in the house. It's just so easy to like. Maybe it's because it's so kid friendly as well.
Yeah.
Just like everyone can chill and like sort of it's a nice easy one. And the Ben Harper stuff, but I don't know. My record collection is nothing like yours. So
that's not much. Yeah, mine's not crazy, but yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. It's weird to see those like the ebb and flow but I think like my not greatest fear, but like something I just don't want to do is stop listening to new stuff. So yeah, I just don't want that to stop seeing where things are going. I don't want to become irrelevant, I suppose.
Yeah, I find
my music taste to be irrelevant.
Yes, I find I do what you're saying that you don't want to do. Where I still try and listen to new stuff, and it takes me a little bit more to sort of almost like trust that new stuff. Like, is it good? But I will say, not having people like you, Mitch, Nick, and other people that were more sort of my music gurus of like, you introduced me to Black Keys like way early on in the piece. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you're like, no, give this a listen. And then I was like, yeah, this is amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Not having that so much, I don't go out and pursue as much new music. That's why I do try and listen to Triple J every time I'm in the car, or shuffle in like Apple Music, put like new music on. I'm just like trying to sit through it.
I think it's like now it's really important to find people that can act as a filter, because there's so much out there to consume, right? And back in the day, it was like, music journalism was alive and really, street press, Rolling Stone, all those things. And you could, you could trust-ish what they were saying was good. And then you're like, oh, this album sounds amazing. I've read the full page article on it. I'm going to go to the record store and I'm going to look at it. But now it's like, look at Spotify new releases or whatever. And it's like, this so massive list.
Yeah. It's
hard to know what's good. So I think it's about finding somebody, or like a website, or, a journalist, a music journalist that you kind of gel with, and you can kind of get there.
Yeah.
They can be the filter, because also, radio was that filter as well. It's like, what was happening on Triple J. Like, I'm not the target audience for Triple J anymore.
That's what I feel as well. Like, I'm not, when I put Triple J on in the car, I'm like, I'm missing something here.
Yeah. And I think like people like, you see like, Triple J, you've changed. Like, I hate all your music now. But as I make the typing thing for like internet troll.
Yeah, internet troll.
But I think that's just because you're not the target audience. Like, I think back to like music that we used to listen to that was on Triple J that, like I was like, Triple J played Machine Gun Fellatio.
Yeah.
And they are hands down just a terrible band. Like, what a gimmick.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But they were all over it, and people loved it, and they were into it because it was, they had that sponsorship, not in like a financial way, but like they talked about them, they played them a lot, and
they were like really good live. Like they were,
and they had a crazy live show. That guy was naked with a little teddy bear on his bits. But yeah, I just, I think it's the same thing now. It's like they're not going to play everything that everybody likes.
And I remember even back then, like they would have an hour, like the Power Hour or something like that, and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to listen to like just heavy metal. Maybe it was
the Hour of Power, yeah.
And or maybe I can't remember exactly, but there was like a metal time, or even now when like some heavy metal comes on, that's just not my thing, and I'm just like, okay, I'll move on. The next one I hear, I'll be like, oh, sweet, that's cool. And sometimes I'll get, oh, that little snippet in it, and I'll be like, yeah, that was worth listening through that.
Yeah, and there's definitely like, SoundCloud, lots of the SoundCloud rapper stuff. I'm pretty blasé about. But then within that, there's stuff that I like.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know if I just don't have the time or the willingness to go digging for anything. To be like, oh, I'm going to go try and find that person to be the first to like it, or to like get on board on that early, or I want to hear that new music so much. I need that taste of something new. Yeah. It's, I don't know, it's time consuming. Yeah, it really is.
Like, I think when I was working in music a lot, I'd spent a lot of time looking for new music, and there was like, it was like a badge of honor to know what was new and what was good and what was hot. And now I don't have time to do that.
No.
So now it's like I rely on other people's recommendations, or Matt Wilkinson he was NME, but now he's like Apple Music. He's always pulling up good stuff. Like look for like things like that, or as Dag is, it is Spotify recommendations, like
I'm
based on
Apple
what I
Music,
already listened to. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like I found a couple cool bands that I really like through that.
Yeah. Mine's mostly hip hop, and I'll be like, oh yeah, sweet.
Another 90s boom bap hip hop group. Sweet.
That's what Fletcher's been listening to, so much of that stuff. Like,
but it's great.
Kid friendly. I try and be as kid friendly as possible.
Yeah.
But hang on, we're getting a little bit off track, but we'll get back to. So that was all from first bands.
Great.
So I'm not going to go through how many bands that you've been in, but you've been
2.
in. Oh, it's only 2? Is that and Electric?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was in a band called Change of Face for a day.
And they didn't like your face, so they changed it.
Yeah. No, I went to like one rehearsal because their bass player quit, and I hadn't been playing bass for ages, and those dudes were just way better than me.
No,
and I was like, this is not going to work.
Yeah. Do you wish that you still played a lot?
No, not really.
I wonder for skateboarding if I will get to that point of actually being okay not skateboarding anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But that's like, I think I realized that I wasn't as good at playing music.
Yeah.
As I wanted to be. Like I was much better at, I think through playing in those bands, I realized like I'm much better at organizing the gig than I am at playing the gig.
Yeah.
So it became like, the music part was more a hobby.
Yeah.
Because I was passionate about it.
Yeah.
Rather than like something I was very good at.
Okay, so that leads you into working with the council in Mandurah?
No, I was still playing in bands at that time.
Yeah.
That was just like I was.
But are you realizing that at the time where you're like, hey, I'm not as good? Or you're like, I
am so good.
Were you at that time?
Yeah, I was like, oh, we're pretty good. Yeah, we're good. We're going to make it. We're going to be like a band. We're going to, get on Triple J. I had no plan. I've got no idea how we're going to do that. But like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think if you had the plan back then, you could have pushed it a bit hard? Like.
Yeah. I think we could have. If I understood things a bit more, we could have pushed it harder. I don't think we would have been like a low-level like Perth band.
What was it, like Butterfingers or something?
Oh, no, not like national touring.
Oh.
I'm like, we would have been like a Perth band that played some gigs at like the Grosvenor.
I think you guys are not giving yourself enough credit. You guys are really fun. Maybe I'm biased. Back then I wasn't as biased, but maybe now.
You're like, I like everybody in the band, but that bass player is a dick. I think we could have had a better crack at it, but I don't think we would have been a massive hit.
So you're working for the Mandurah Council, doing setting up gigs and stuff like that.
Yep.
Your lead into university.
Yeah.
What do you study at university? Is it music related or?
No. So I'm cursed by being not cursed, but I'm good at many things and not excellent
Jack
at
of
one
all trades
thing.
and
Master of none. Yeah. So at uni, I knew I liked art, so I liked doing art stuff. Like I was always into graphic design, and painting and sculpture and stuff at school. But I also loved computer science, so I was into programming and things like that. So on the day that university admissions were due, I was like flicking through the book and I was like, what do I want to do? And then I saw multimedia.
Yep.
And it was like sound design, radio, more like website design meets coding.
Wow. That actually sounds really good.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. It's not a real degree. It's like one of those degrees that they make up because people want to do it.
Yeah. Just before their time, really.
Yeah.
Would be a full.
Yeah. I don't know if there still are multimedia degrees, but I thought it was a great idea. And like on that day, looked at the book, didn't do any more research into it, and put that down as my first preference.
Wow.
So, yeah, and that's how I started doing that. Great. Really thought about it. Well researched.
Sometimes the best things in life happen that way.
Yeah, and it was good. Like
do you look back at that and go like, I should have went a different route?
Now I'd be like, man, a degree in commerce would be so handy. But, or economics. I'm super into economics now. But as like, I'm probably more a hobby economist. But I think, yeah, those kinds of things would be good. Like some business grounding earlier would have been handy. But yeah, I met great people through it. So like, I wouldn't have.
Oh, you got your nickname out of it.
I know. And like Hermione and Sarah Sloan got me my first music industry job.
Oh yeah.
With her brother. So
what was that?
That was at heatseeker.com.au.
Is it a ticket service or something?
Yeah, so they sold tickets. As amazing as it sounds, there was no online ticketing. So you'd go to a record store or a news agent or whatever, and you would buy a ticket.
I remember that now.
Physical ticket. And yeah, so their idea was they had this great website which listed all the gigs, and they had a bit of a semi-monopoly around touring in WA. And yeah, so I worked on for them, helping to design that new website.
Yep.
And then we moved across to online ticketing, which is like they wanted to do kiosks initially, I remember. So take away so you'd still go to the store, but it would just be this kiosk, and you'd punch in what you wanted and print out a ticket.
Oh, wow.
Which I think we were like, could we just skip that and just like put it online?
Oh, wow. You guys had really good foresight.
Yeah, I think Sloaney had a great, he's a great thinker about what was happening.
Yeah, Sloaney was your old boss at Heatseeker and
at Supersonic. Yeah. So started doing less and less Heatseeker stuff and more touring stuff after a while. Like the website was stable, it was just content updates, and then I think I started doing that because the tour manager for a show had sick or got pulled out, and they needed somebody in last minute. They're like, "Can you go do this?" And that was Body Jar.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
man, our friend Froz would have been over the moon, right?
Dude, it was. Man, I love that. I saw them at the Mandurah Performing Arts Centre as well. When No Touch Red, Jules Burt put me onto this album, No Touch Red. Yep. And yeah, I went and watched them at Mandurah Performing Arts Centre. It was insane. And then touring with them, I was just like,
you're living your little Mandurah dream.
Yeah, like I was like a music groupie. Dude, like just, oh God, you guys are so cool.
Do you look back and go like, oh man, they were just like people like us?
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like, I remember seeing some pro skateboarders, and I'd be like, you guys, I don't know what you did. You've cracked the code of life, and you're just amazing.
Yeah, and they're just like normal people.
Yeah.
Especially at that level. Like when you're a kid, that seems so amazing. I remember kind of working out that being in a touring Australian band, you didn't make that much money.
Oh.
Like, and when you're a kid, you're like I remember a dude, I can't remember which band it was. I think it was like 3 Orange Whips. They were like this Perth band. Yeah. They played Warped Tour, and somebody stole. People used to get on stage. Remember, like they'd rush the stage and then stage dive off. Yeah. And somebody like took his drumsticks out of his little thing next to your spare drumsticks, and he's like, whoever stole those, could I get them back? Because they're like the only spares I've got, and I can't afford to buy anymore. Yeah. But as a kid, you're playing a band, you're on stage. Yeah.
People,
you're getting money. Like you can't compute that it's expensive. Yeah. That you have to reach a really high level to make a decent wage out of it.
So what do you think like an average band sort of makes going around? Let's say one that's not just trying to make it. Let's say they're a fairly well-known name. Maybe not top of the level, but like just...
I don't know now. Like if you're doing well, maybe like 60 grand a year.
Dang.
Something like that. Like, because you got to invest. You got to have... that's like take home. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm so out of it
60 grand a year, like it's not really that much for I have a hard time.
It's like a minimum wagey. Yeah. Like it's like okay kind of wage.
Yeah. I can feel like after living in the States so long, you could have the success that you have here, but it's a lot like the same ratio or percentage, whatever, and have it over there, and you've got way more because you've got more places you can tour, you can hit, you can do that stuff.
And I know, a lot of bands here, it's like, if you can get moderate success in the US,
Yeah.
you're like, wow, what a packed day.
Yeah.
Because you can tour so many more places, like that the market size is bigger, so you can own a niche.
Yeah.
And,
the niche is like we're here, we're 24 million.
Yeah.
Like the niche might be like, hey, there's 100,000 people in all of Australia that listen to this type of music.
Yeah.
But over there, you could have 1 million people listen to that same type of music, and you could travel all around.
But it's why you can have stores that are like, what do you... I run this chain of stores, and what do you sell?
Yeah.
I sell jam donuts.
Yeah.
And? No, we just sell like the best jam donuts you've ever had.
Yeah. It's like those crow nuts that you like.
Yeah. It's like you can have a single product.
Yeah.
That is the best, and people love it, and there's enough of a niche, enough population that you can sell X amount and still do well.
Yeah.
But we've smaller market here.
So you're at Supersonic. You have just done your first tour, Body Jar.
So good.
So good. And then you
met Mitch at the Prince of Wales in Bunbury. Total legend of live music. He's like the owner.
Yeah.
Taught me I was counting money in his office, and he was like, "You do not know how to count money, do you?" I'm like, "No, I've never done this before." And he's just like, boom, 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 boom. He's like this. And just showed me like, it was just a random little thing.
Skill that, have it stuck with you, that skill?
Yeah, I can count some notes pretty quick these days.
Yeah, I remember seeing someone count coins, and I was like, oh, dang, I could not do that much.
But at that time, lots of cash. It's like, it was a key thing. I just remember, being totally out of my depth. Like I couldn't even do that.
Yeah. So you get from that, and then Supersonic starts giving you more responsibilities in that world.
Yeah.
What are some highlights of bands that you have toured with, other than Body Jar?
I toured with a band called The Herd. They were like a hip hop act.
Yep, I remember those guys. They're like 7-piece or something like that, right?
Yeah, and they just came over, and they were so nice.
Yeah.
Like, they were like just the loveliest people.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed touring with them. And we used to we'd go out for lunch on their days off. Like they're really interested in just going to nice cafes and eating good food. So we'd always like try and plan something. Who else? It was cool. CW Stone King toured with this dude. He's like a Australian kind of like blues artist. He always plays a character. He's this like American like Bayou blues artist. He's an interesting cat.
Wow.
I remember Che, a friend of mine, toured with him the first time, and he said he drank like a bottle of tequila on the way from Perth to Bunbury. So that's like a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was intense. And then when I toured him, he'd quit drinking. So instead he drank like 4 or 5 cans of energy drink.
Oh, jeepers.
Yeah. So he'd swapped.
Did his heart just explode?
No, he's like, I can't really sleep very well anymore. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But I had them around for a barbecue at my house and stuff. It was cool. They were just like, it's that realization when you realize, these guys are not making that much money.
Yeah.
So you can do something nice, like they can have a good meal.
Yeah. Well, didn't you tour the Black Keys when they first came around?
Sloaney, through his company Billions, did the tour. And I remember looking after their tour manager for the day. And he was, I cannot remember his name. He was like the nicest guy I'd ever met. Yeah. He was super lovely. Like, he's like, I used to write.
I'm sitting right here.
Yeah. A second nicest guy. The nicest tour manager I've ever met. Sorry, Ben Newby. And he had like, he's like, I used to work for this newspaper. The newspaper's Rolling Stone. He's like, I used to work for this little record label. Record label was Grand Royal Records, which is the Beastie Boys label. Jeebus. And I was super into At the Drive-In at the time, and they were signed to that. And we went rug shopping. Like, we bought a drum rug, which I got given at the end of the tour, which was rad.
I'm so jealous of that rug.
I know. It's not it's pretty gross, but
I'd still take it.
Yeah. It's cool. I've got like a screen printed poster from the run and stuff.
Yeah.
And they played small venues. They played the Charles Hotel because there was a blues club there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a sold out show. It was a hot ticket.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I feel like they didn't even take off for another 5 years. Like, and then there was a
they
hot
were like
2 years where their songs were everywhere in every movie. Like, it was
that first album, Thick Freakness, was good.
so good.
But it wasn't like international hit good.
Yeah.
It was like...
What's also crazy is after living in the States, hearing of bands, like when the Black Keys were blowing up over there and everybody's listening to them.
You're like, I've been listening to these guys for ages.
I had, but I think just Australia in general was listening to them for ages. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like you had just given the CD and I was like maybe it was Triple J kind of thing.
Yeah, they were behind it.
Yeah.
I think it's that plus, you know, we're a small market and you can like, certain bands, you can break them earlier here, or people can break them earlier here to like, you know, build a fan base around them.
Yeah.
And like Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they blew up here.
They did. I remember.
And yeah, people were just super into them.
Yeah.
Before they were like massive in other places.
Well, even like Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
Like I seen him down at the Margaret River Tavern. I can't remember what it's called. Right in the main strip down there.
Yeah. Settlers
Tavern. Yeah, that's right. And me and my 3 mates were giving him high fives and chatting to him beforehand and stuff like that. Then a year later, boom.
He's playing like 3,000 cap venues.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, but I think those are the kind of like, those are the cool things. And I don't know if that happens that much anymore where you can see a band live before they blow up.
Yeah.
Because it's driven a lot by, you know, you get so, you know, it's so much more accessible, the music.
Yeah.
That, the live used to kind of, was a way to push the music. Now it's like so available.
Yeah.
That the music can be the first thing before you get
maybe
that.
after COVID that people will be yearning for it.
I'm
more.
keen. I mean, I haven't seen her. I was like chatting to Greg, who we work with on the music venue, and he's, we were like, man, I miss going to see a live band. Like I would just, I'm hanging.
Yeah.
Just to see some
I feel like
loud
there's a lot
live
of people
music
out there and just the energy around that sort of stuff. Maybe this will give a bounce back to that, like not taking it for granted as much. Like, oh yeah, we'll go see that band next week. Well, now let's go enjoy that band this week because who knows?
I hope so. Because like, I'm just like, I see that, you know, the Instagram, the streaming thing, like people streaming gigs, that's cool. And like, it's a great way to pivot and do whatever you need to do. But it makes me realize that I'm like, you can't get the same feeling from watching a band play on
Zoom
on Facebook or Instagram as you can get from watching them in a venue where you can feel it.
You feel the like literally if it's like a heavy bass, like you can feel it going through you. You know what I mean? Like the energy of the people next to you. Yeah,
it's contagious.
The Beautiful Girls with our mate Mitch, and I was like, it was a small venue. Probably the smallest venue I've ever seen them in, but they'd changed their music up from being acoustic to all electric. And I was like, oh my God, I was so into it. Me and he's another tall, lanky guy like I am. So we're just bouncing around like 2 stretched out jellyfish, just having the best
2
time.
Mick Jaggers just hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. So working with Sloan and this company, you also have, they put on a big festival called Rocket.
Yeah.
And you're pretty involved in that stuff, right?
Yeah, working super hard. It was like peak festival, you know, like summer festivals in Australia were massive. Like everybody loved a festival, like and it was less. People were less demanding than they are now. Like the
musicians or the consumer.
Consumer.
What are they demanding on?
Not demanding. I just mean like they had lower expectations. So. Not like they're picketing out the front of your festival now, but they, like, you know, there was just a big oval.
Yeah.
2 stages, like one little stage, one big stage, some tiny little stalls, a massive bar.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like...
enjoy the music.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, 25,000 people on that oval. But now it's like, you know, you've got to dress the site and make it look cool, and you have
Yeah.
cool little activations and
Yeah.
places where people can Instagram stuff, and then
Yeah.
you know you've got
Silent
branded
discos
bars
and
and
stuff.
silent disco, and you've got your grilled burgers pop up, and
Yeah.
all of those things. It's like people, it's more of an experience now, and it's that's way cooler. But back in the day, it was just like a big oval thing,
Yeah.
and I think people just got bored with that eventually. But
Or do you think it was just oversaturated because you had Big Day Out, you had Rocket, you had Laneway wasn't around then yet.
No. Well, Laneway started when Big Day Out was Laneway was coming up when Big Day Out was going kind of down. But
that blew my mind when I heard. I thought it was a joke that
Big Day Out was over.
gone. Yeah, I was like, no way. That's institutional. Like, you're a kid. Everybody had to go through the Big Day Out circuit just at least once.
Well, because that was the thing about Big Day Out. It crossed over from being just a music festival to being like a rite of passage. So it was like...
Do you think that hurt it?
No, I think that's how they went from like 25,000 people to like 40,000 people.
Yeah.
It was like... There was
It
that
like
thing.
It was more than that though, right? At these...
I think that was Claremont Showgrounds, about 40,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot of people to put in one place, right?
Yeah, it blows my mind. Anytime I go by it now on the train, or we went to the Colour Run, and I'm like,
that's 5,000 people here.
Yeah, how many concerts I've seen right here?
Yeah, saw the Beastie Boys.
Oh
yeah, that was insane.
That was so good.
And the Flaming Lips was the other one that stood out.
That live show was one of the best live shows. I've seen them before again as well after that, and still, they are one of the best live shows.
I got to meet them like 8-10 years ago or whatever. And you know how you think that they're like super weird, unique dudes? Yeah. They totally are.
Are they?
Yeah.
Wow.
They've got their own program going on.
Wow.
At least Wayne Coyne does. I don't know about the other guys.
They spoke their own language to each other.
Yeah. Like twin language.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that was cool. It was like one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yeah. We went, I think, didn't we go with, it was me and Jillian and you and like an ex-missus, we all went at the same time?
Probably, I don't remember.
Because there was what's that band, like the Marys or...
the Marys?
No, what is it? The Subways, I think? And they had a song Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With
I love that band as well.
Yes, I do remember them.
Yeah. That was good. I paused for a second because my brain starts going through how good that concert was. Like,
yeah, it was amazing. I remember seeing Sparta. It was like one of the dudes from At the Drive-In
spin-off, right?
Yeah, we were super into that when it was like Charlie and Moose and everybody, and we were playing in bands, and just seeing them was like, oof. They were on early in the day on a side stage.
Yeah.
And it was insane. So into consuming music. Yeah. At that point.
I remember having to you would lay out like, oh man, I want to get that whole concert here. I'm going to have to miss 15 minutes of these guys. Or you'd have to organize. It was probably the best organizing I've ever done in my life. I've been got to get all these bands in to feel like I got enough
value.
Enough out of the day.
Yeah, and running between stages and I'll miss 15 minutes of those, but that's cool because I can still get 20 minutes in and then
someone stops to talk to you, bump you and be like, sorry, I've got to get over there.
Yeah.
Do you want to come? Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
So you work with those guys. You're pretty involved in those concerts. But at that stage, they're bringing in pretty big acts.
It was massive. Green Day, Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Jack Johnson, your mate.
Yeah. He's come up way too much on this podcast.
So, Jack, I don't know if you're listening out there, but
if you do, hit us up. Maybe you can come on.
Matt's just really into you. It wouldn't be creepy at all being interviewed on this.
Look, the back tat I have of you is all good.
Totally. So big names. Oasis.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
They played. And then the best, well, not the best year, but the most interesting year was when Blink-182 were meant to headline.
Oh, and didn't they cancel or something?
Yeah. So I think Travis broke his foot in Sydney or Melbourne, and they couldn't play. They were going to get the drum tech to drum, but then it didn't work out. So it was like the night before, or the day before they cancelled, and then it's like I remember Roscoe and Siney had to wake their printer up. I think he was out somewhere, and they had to get him, and they're like, "We'll give you whatever you want, but we need you to go fire up the printing presses, and you got to print all these signs and stuff." And So they had him up and they did like they got Greenspoon to headline.
Yeah.
And because they were the next band on the bill. Yeah. And they filled in, and then they offered people like you could either get a full refund, or I think you got like $20 voucher, which you could spend at the bar or spend on merch.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, why would you not take $20?
Yeah.
Like, man, two free beers.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. And there were a few people asked for refunds, but not like a massive amount.
Yeah.
And I think people realize there's nothing you could do. Like,
yeah. Well, at that point though, if I was Blink-182, is it doing it no justice? Like some of these people have been waiting to see you, right? May have never seen you. If you go do that concert, and maybe the drumming's not, maybe I don't know how bad the leg break was, but maybe the drumming's not up to speed, and it's the tech drummer, but you got Travis sort of hanging around, like maybe talking to the crowd or something like that. Like that experience, those people would have remembered. And then other than saying, oh yeah, I sing Blink-182 and nothing happened. Oh yeah, I was at the concert when, Travis was just like cruising around and throwing stuff out to the crowd, and the drummer was doing stuff. And
I guess it's a hard risk of like, yeah, it could work. And it could be like the greatest day of those people's lives. Or like 25,000 people could think you suck because you are terrible. And it's like, the drummer doesn't really know what he's doing. It's a shambles. It's like, I've wasted my money. Why am I here? Like, this is such a letdown.
There
like,
had to be
it's the final act of the concert. And it's like, everything's been building to that point.
Have you ever heard the story about how Doom, the rapper...
Was that the game? No.
No.
Yeah, MF Doom.
MF Doom.
Yeah.
Where he would put on a concert, but because he's wearing a mask, he would just have someone come out there and lip sync. And then when people found out about it, they were like really just hated on it. But then, I was listening to an interview, and then a guy was talking to me. He's like, "Yeah, it sucked I didn't get to see him, but I was at that concert that happened,
and I thought it was the best thing ever."
Well, now he's like, now I'm talking about it, and I get the opportunity to say, I'm the guy. I was at that concert.
Yeah.
So right in there, it was a negative. Now he gets that story that's everybody else. So if you all went to the same concert, you're like, oh, cool, yeah, I've been seeing that. Like, but you were at that one that went haywire.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the one where Dave Grohl broke his leg, right? And then people are like, I was at that concert.
Yeah, it's like, it's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are like, there was like this cat power show at the Rosemount, where like our friend Roscoe was working the door, and he's like, it's like the hardest night ever. She'd come out and she'd play like 3 minutes of a song, and stop, and then talk to the crowd and abuse the crowd, and like play 10 seconds of another song and stop, and it was just this show, and like people coming up to him asking for refunds. They're just like, this is a rip off, like, and he's like, no, this is the show.
Yeah,
she's notoriously unreliable. This happens. This is what you've paid for a cat power show.
This is what you get.
This is the show. It's not her just playing the hits. Like, you get this thing. What's happening up there? And he's like, that was super hard to do.
That would be... I feel like I probably would have been like, here's your money back. Here's your money back.
Yeah. I probably would have caved. But then, now it's like people can, it turns it into a great story. I was at that show. She was terrible. Like, this is what happened. She said this. She abused that guy. And, it becomes a cool story. I think it's like that thing that happens to you when you have like a super tough situation. It's hard at the time. Yeah. But then afterwards you're like, oh man, I did this thing and it was so hard. And like, I was like, but we got through it, and now I could tell you about it. Well,
they're always the best stories, right? Like people hear about my car accident that I was in, and they're like, that's so heavy. But at this point, it's been so long where I'm like, now it's just a good story.
Yeah, and like you might have still been a douche if that didn't happen. So
it just knocked the douche
out totally. Right.
So you go from working for Rocket, you have all these great times. How do you then transition from that stuff into running your own? It's bespoke touring or bespoke management.
Bespoke touring. Yeah. I kind of left Supersonic. Like it just wasn't a great time there. No,
Like you weren't enjoying yourself. The business was having.
The business was. I mean, I don't know. There was some like personal, not me, but like within the business.
Yep. You don't have to get into that stuff.
There was some trouble going on, and I think it just created like a weird work environment.
Yeah.
And we were all like, I think when it's not just a job and you're like emotionally invested. So in music, typically you don't get paid a great deal. But what you are invested, like you're invested in it more emotionally and you like committed to it as a cause almost. And you believe in it. So when that gets shattered or broken or it's just not as shiny anymore, it's like it becomes hard to continue doing that. So I got offered a job in Melbourne working for a management company there. And I was not savvy and I was like, great, it's a great opportunity. I always wanted to move to Melbourne. So I took a deal that seemed okay. And went and worked there. And it was good fun for a while. And then
was there bad blood between you leaving, or were they like, hey, you're moving up, or like, or you were in the trenches with us, why aren't you anymore?
I don't think so. I think it just was like, you got offered an opportunity, go do that. I think it was like there's a lot of change happening there, and I don't think there was any particularly bad blood.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I was definitely keen to get out of there. Like, just over something.
Yeah.
But then we went to Melbourne and started working with this management company, and I just probably wasn't savvy enough or didn't stand up for myself enough there. So like the deal that I'd agreed got eroded slowly over time, and they were a young company and they had cash flow issues. So it turned out, I started having to use my credit card to pay for like bands hire cars and stuff because they're at the airport and they couldn't pay for it because their credit cards were maxed. The credit card was maxed out, and then you got to wait to get that money back, and like my phone bill wasn't getting paid, and I found out my super hadn't been paid.
Man, just all falling out.
Yeah, and like at that time I wasn't working at my best either. Like I was super stressed about those things, and like wasn't getting along with my girlfriend at the time. So there was a lot going on that we just didn't put out our best. I didn't put out the best work, and I wasn't getting treated the way I probably should have been treated, and I wasn't savvy enough to
just
push
on a side
back.
note, I just remembered, I won't mention the girlfriend's name, but do you remember when we've got a little white fluffy curly haired dog, and I said, oh, your hair looks just like my dog's. I thought I was giving the best compliment because I was like, look how cute.
I love my dog.
Yeah, I love my dog. Look how cute she is.
I know.
And she was like, you just called me a
Devastated.
dog.
It was almost as good as when we were hanging out in Melbourne and at our apartment, and my boss in the company I was working for in Melbourne came around and he was like, oh, your name, it's kind of like a stripper's name. As a joke.
Yeah.
And it was just did not go down
Just
well.
fell flat.
And there was a club with that name on it.
Oh, just down
the road.
And you're like, are we back?
I was like, but okay, no, it's cool. But yeah. So yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. And I was like, man, it was tough to navigate those things.
Yeah.
I was like, and be the middleman.
Mm-hmm.
But
I had the best intentions. I
know.
And to me, if someone had said that to me, I probably wouldn't even care. But being in that situation, the person being a girl, even I think it has different.
Yeah, commenting on appearance or whatever.
And then
I think
comparing to a dog, maybe.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, like, man, I had shaggy curly hair. Like, I'm sure I looked like a dog.
Yeah.
Like, people are into the groodles and stuff now. I'm like, I definitely had that vibe.
Yeah, you were way before your game.
Yeah, I know. Probably smelled like that too. But yeah, so lived in Melbourne and worked at that company, and then I just got over that as well. Yeah, like I wasn't happy.
You got over that sooner than working for
I worked for like Sony for like 5 years.
Yeah,
and like that was great.
Yeah,
like until that end point, like that was like a life-changing thing.
Yeah.
And the Melbourne thing.
It was hard work though. Like,
I was grinding.
Like, you were at all hours working and
getting paid like $38,000 a year.
Dang.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah. And then, the Melbourne thing was just like, it was hard. It was more expensive to live there. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And
Did you miss being back here as well?
I miss being back here. And I was just burnt out. And I could have stayed. Like, I remember when I told Roscoe I was leaving, because we kind of moved over there at the same time. We lived together initially, and he was like, "Dude, you should have come to me, and like, I would have found you another job somewhere." And another guy I knew, who's like the owner of this national street press thing, was like, "Why didn't you tell me, man? I would have found you a job."
Yeah.
And I just didn't realize I had that network to lean on. Yeah. Really, I think.
Did you feel like you were kind of like having to make it over there yourself a little bit, or just oblivious that would actually be an option?
I think I was just real like down and like just
Did you search
tapping
any
out.
help out of being down?
No, not really.
Oh.
Because I'm not depressed. I'm just in a shitty situation.
Okay.
Yeah. And if I had have sought out help, like from friends or whatever, it might have been a different situation. Yeah. But I was like, I'm not depressed. This is just tough. Yeah. And I don't know. I didn't really seek out counsel from anybody, or like, which is probably, a flaw. I think I just wanted to like tough it out at the time.
Well, sometimes you're like, do I tough it out, or am I meant to reach out? Like, where do you find that line? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've definitely grown into more of that as I've grown up, relying on other people for stuff.
Yeah, that's just growing up in general. Hopefully people do it. Maybe I will one day.
You never know, Matt. You never know.
Yeah.
We'll
see.
I still feel like I've got a lot of growing up to do.
I do not feel like I'm almost 40. Like, I feel like if you were going to take my brain, I feel like I'm almost 30. My body is almost 60.
Yeah, I'm like, when can I stop pretending to be an adult?
Yeah.
Right.
And when does it actually kick in?
Yeah.
Like, I think back to looking up to 40-year-olds, and I'm like, they've got it all sorted. They know what they're doing. And I don't know if other people look at us in that sort of glowing light of like,
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah. I hope they don't, because they definitely don't have it all sorted.
No.
I just remember thinking like people who were in their like 20s were like old, like adults. And now I'm like, man, you guys got a lot to go.
I see here, like, I don't want to be that guy, but when I hear some 20-year-olds talk about stuff, and I'm like, okay, like, that's not the reality of life. Like, you can't just be trying to live this weird little floaty, bouncing around dream life forever.
Yeah, don't have dreams, man. Get a job.
Well, just even I'm just gonna chill out, and stuff will happen. I don't know, but
stuff will happen. I don't know.
But a part is that like I didn't start my real career stuff until I was 25. You know what I mean? So like I floated around and did that stuff.
So late, Matt. 25. Wow.
Well, you think about it, like I was an intern at a web design company, and the people above me were younger than me. Like, it was just the next level up. And I was like, I had to swallow so much, eat so much cake or whatever the saying is, like
shit
believe. Pie, whatever. Yeah.
Humble pie. Yeah. Eat humble pie, shovel shit. I don't know, something like that. But I started as an intern at my latest job.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh. I think it's pretty amazing that people would still be willing to. I find that prideful of myself that even now trying this stuff, I don't feel like should come in going like, hey, I know what I'm doing. Here we go. I'm asking questions. Like, anyone who knows anything above me, I'm like, give me that information. I'm looking at you. Like,
it was a great lesson to learn. I learned about like networking, or not even networking, just like when you start something new, is like people are mostly pretty happy to catch up for a coffee or a beer or whatever, and you can ask them about what they do and how they do it and how does it work. And if you're humble and you're like, I'm just trying to get into this, I'm trying to learn how things work, can I, would you mind catching up? People are like, yeah, cool.
I agree.
And that's simplest
do you try and pay that forward?
Yeah. Like if anybody asks me for a coffee, hey, I'm keen to get into management consulting. I'm like, sure. cool. Yeah, let's go have a coffee. I mean, most of the time, unless I'm super busy, and then I'll be like, in 3 weeks I can catch up.
Yeah.
But
I'm not trying to shove you off. It's just I'm literally that busy until then.
Yeah. And then, you know, you can try and help them out.
Yeah. When I was working at Nintendo, I'd have a lot of people want to come through and chat about like web design stuff and all that, and also have that Nintendo feel. But I was always like, let's do it. Like, I was given sort of little legs up by people. What can I do to sort of help with that?
Yeah,
like,
and it's great.
Yeah. I feel it's almost selfish because I'm like, I feel like I enjoy it probably more than what they're getting out of it.
And I think that's kind of the trick of it, right? Is that it makes you feel important.
Oh, yeah.
If
I didn't think about it that way, but I guess it does.
If
I was more thinking the selfishness of being going like, yes, I get to do this for you.
Yeah, and that as well. I'm like, oh, somebody's asking me about what I do, which means they must think I'm kind of good at it, or at least. So then, yeah, I'm happy to help them out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as much as you're doing it because, you know, you just want to help people out, it's like you get a kick out of that stuff too. Yeah. I don't think it's only one way.
Before, let's get back to we're in Melbourne.
Oh, yeah.
So where you've canned that job and where you're about to start Bespoke.
Yeah, so I bought a car off Roscoe for like $2,000.
Yep.
And drove across the Nullarbor and picked our friend Tom up in Adelaide. We had this like crazy, we did it in 4 days across the Australia Day weekend, which was super hot. Yeah. With no air conditioning. Oh, and just gosh. Yeah. But it was like one of those experiences where you're just like, we're going to get through this. It's going to be fun. It's a great story. Yeah. We're two friends hanging out, listening to heaps of country music.
Yeah.
And then kind of got back to Perth. Didn't really know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
It was like worked at some pubs and like,
Where'd you move when you came back? Did you?
Moved in with Tom.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's when you were up here in Lafarie?
Yeah, just near here.
Yeah.
Rad little like 2-bedroom house. He was super friendly. Just super like, great. And then I met some great people who, like my friend Phil, who kind of like dragged me into this Freo friend scene thing. It was just like, oh, you've had a tough time. Like I was like, oh, he's like, you want to come to the pub? I was like, nah, I don't really want to come out. I'm like chill. He's like, no, put some clothes on. I'll be around in like 30 minutes. I'm going to pick you up.
Wow.
He was like, wouldn't let me stay home, which is what I needed.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I sort of started getting into this music thing, and I still had all these connections, and people were hitting me up like, oh, you're back in Perth, man. We want to tour WA. Could you do the tour?
Yeah.
And I was like, I suppose I could do that. So I made my little Soul Trader ABN.
Yeah.
And then started doing random tours. I think the first tour I did was this guy called Whitley.
Yep.
He had this huge song that was on this Telstra ad.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we toured. It was just me and him in a car. He was playing solo acoustic, promoted the show. Shows that went really well.
Yeah.
And then toured another band called Oh Mercy.
Yeah.
Who I'm still friends with, Alex from that band. And they were like they stayed at my house. Like everything was like low key. Like people slept in the lounge room. Tom had cooked some food. Yeah. They slept in the lounge room. It was like that. We had a hire car, and it was like that low level touring, just playing to like 150 people a night.
Wow.
It was good fun. And that's like, and then I thought I better start a proper business if I'm going to do this. So I was watching Grand Designs one night. He was talking about bespoke staircases, and I was like,
oh,
that's a great word.
Yeah. All right.
And then it blew up and everything was bespoke. And I was like, man, now it sounds so lame, but
too long. Curve again.
It's too long now to change it. So
yeah, I'm worrying about that stuff with like Maddie Mitchell books. It's like I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't just do like at the first point, I was like Maddie Mitchell books. So I was just going to get my children's books out, and that was going to be my avenue for that one. And then I just started adding everything to it, like illustrations and all that. And now I'm like, I'm too deep. We're running.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you can't start a new thing, but it's a lot of effort to be like,
a lot of effort.
Trading names, bro.
Yeah, I can switch. I still own Maddie Mitchell, like on Instagram, which is the most powerful platform at the moment, except for TikTok. But the like flipping those. I'm like, do I do that? And I'm just in right now. We'll see how it goes. If anything blows up big enough, I can sort it out. Anyway, so bespoke, grand designs, and where...
And then, yeah, just touring. So like but I had no idea what I was doing. I took that kind of like DIY attitude.
Was it people you were touring down for the, like, hey, he's in the nuts and bolts with us? Or?
Yeah, and I knew what I was doing with touring. Like I knew how to promote shows and sell tickets and, do it, but I didn't know anything to do with business. Like,
oh wow, okay.
I was doing everything.
Yeah.
And I was burning, like,
what change would you make now with all the information you have, with all your business management and everything? What would you change going back?
Say no.
Say no?
Say no to stuff. Like, everything, the best thing I ever learnt is that, and it sounds so dumb, that you only have 100%. Right? You only have 100% of time, 100% of resources, 100% of money.
Yep.
And you need to figure out what's the best use of that 100%.
Yep.
So I was like, take that opportunity because I don't want to miss out on anything. Like maybe that'll be something. I'll do that. Instead of sitting down and being like, that band is never going to sell very many tickets.
Yeah.
And it's going to take me the same amount of effort to promote that band as it is to promote this band that's going to make money.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do both.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do 10 of those small bands and 10 of these ones.
Yeah.
Where it's like, maybe take a bet on some.
Yeah. So like maybe if you're like, these 3 are the ones that even maybe I personally like.
Yeah.
And then these 10, I'm going to put that 70% of effort that I was doing over here as well into that.
Yeah. And have some balls to send up to the agents and say, I don't want to keep touring your shitty acts, dude.
Yeah.
Like, give me some good ones. I'll tour those if you give me a good act, but I'm I'm burning time on these acts.
Yeah.
So say no to stuff. You cannot do everything. Invest your time in the stuff. Like with Phil ran a great club night that was making heaps of money, but I just didn't have time to keep investing.
King Tito's?
Yeah, King Tito's Dirty Disco.
Yeah.
Doing
great
like
name.
1,000. Yeah, it was. People just called it King Tito's. What does it mean? I don't know. We just picked it. Like, we just picked it out of the ether because it sounded cool. But we had Miami Horror, who were this like kind of up and coming dance act. They played the opening night, and we did 1,000 people.
Wow.
And it was like, it was big every month, massive. And then I just stopped having time to put into it because I was doing other stuff, and I thought I could just leave it.
And it would just like do it.
Yeah, but you got to keep it fresh. You got to keep putting effort in, and because I was too busy doing stuff that wasn't making money because I'm looking for the next opportunity.
Yeah.
So that
I find maybe it's the same in the music industry, and especially where you were at. There's so many people that throw stuff at being a creative, and they're like, hey, if you don't do this, you may not make it if you test, or this, it's kind of bubbling. And I feel like I do the same thing. I should focus in on this thing here and put all of my effort in, and then it goes nowhere. And then I'm like, oh God, I put all that effort in. But people sort of throwing those ideas at me, and I find it hard to sort of go, nah, it's all right. I'm getting better now, but nah, like I'm just going to focus on my stuff right now.
Yeah. And it's a skill to know what to say no to, because everything looks shiny and great and like could be something.
Yeah. The next like Facebook idea, you get what I mean? Not obviously that big,
but it, like everything can look like that, and it's about learning to say no, and also accepting that you're going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
So like I remember watching this guy, I can't remember what his name was, at a music conference, and he was like telling about how he's like some of the greatest acts that he hasn't signed.
Yeah.
He's telling this story about, he's like, this guy sent me this demo, and it was like 3 white guys playing reggae, and it was cheesy, and it was like these straight looking white dudes. And he's like, that sounds awful. No one is going to buy this. Like, I can't sell this. Why would anybody want to listen to it?
Yeah.
And it's like, that was the Police.
Oh, no way.
It's like, didn't sign him. But it's like, he signed amazing artists. Yeah. Like, he signed Madonna and a bunch of other people. It's like this, it's like you can't get it right all the time.
No.
So I think it's like, accept that you're not going to get it right. learn that you've only got 100%. So dedicate it to stuff that is going to be worthwhile. And it might not be money. It might be another thing. Yeah. But if you want to turn it into a career, there needs to be some financial reward so you can actually do it.
Yeah.
And then pay people to do stuff that you can't do very well.
That's what I struggle with.
Yeah. It's hard, right? Because why am I giving this money away?
Yeah. Well,
I could just do that.
Right now with this podcast, I'm like, I was just telling to my wife last night, I was like, I feel like I should be able to edit down these podcasts. I should be able to add it to the videos that I do, or like all this stuff. But how long it takes me it might take me a whole day just doing that stuff. And it's not like huge edits or anything like that. But if I was to pay someone else, I'm more willing to sacrifice that time and maybe the quality than to pay someone else to do it at a higher quality, faster rate, and free up the time for me. And that I can't cross that bridge yet.
No, but it's also about figuring out like what's the payoff, right? So if I invest in, how much does it cost to get someone to do that? And what do I expect to get back from it? Am I looking to make my money back from this podcast? And if I pay that person $500, how long is it going to take for me to get that $500 back? And am I willing to make that investment?
Yeah. And it's not like I don't think any of this stuff would be a one-off. You know what I mean?
That's yeah.
If you do that quality once, stick to that quality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what I would change. If I knew that back then, I would have done stuff differently. I tried to do everything myself. The accounts, the invoices. I had terrible cash flow because I would forget to send my invoices for like weeks. Yeah. Because I was too busy and just burnt out. So not very efficient because you're trying to do everything.
So as you're burning out, is what makes you go, I'm going to then jump in and do my MBA?
I got fired by a band. So I had put...
Was that the Growl?
Yeah, by the Growl.
So side note, you two...
Oh, yeah. I was managing a band, which they started off as just like, I was the bartender at the Norfolk Basement. I took over from Jody Regan, world famous manager of Tame Impala.
Oh.
So, that had some good chops, that basement, for discovering bands. And this band, Red Shoes Boy, played, and I was like, man, they are so good. And I met the dude Cam, who was the singer, and we started hanging out. He'd stay at they'd play a show, and then he'd crash on our couch afterwards. And then they asked me to manage them, and I was like totally into it. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Changed their name to the Growl, grew, and then we, over the space of a few years, built them up to we toured the US with Tame, played with Kings of Leon.
Wow.
Supported them. Over East we did, I think, shout out to Evan Davis and Andy at Gumley at Village Sounds. One year they secured offers for both Big Day Out and Laneway.
Oh, wow.
At the same time. We ended up doing Laneway nationally, which was huge. Did South by Southwest. It was great. We were just starting to we released an album, single on vinyl, and we're just starting to crack, getting some love from Triple J, but the recording quality on the album, listening back to it now, was not great. So I think I got feedback from a few labels, I couldn't believe we didn't get added to Triple J. I was unbelievable, so livid. And then a friend who's an AR guy at Warner was like, oh, I think you made the right call, dude. It's it sounds a bit homemade, the record, because they did kind of recorded in the rooftop of some derelict building, getting the vibe, but it just didn't sound great. But yeah, anyway, they fired me after South by Southwest one year. I think a classic mismatch between where a band thinks they should be and the reality of where they are.
Yeah.
And I was pretty proud of what I did, but I definitely wasn't the best manager. I think I would have, if I had the skills I have now and been able to plan long-term plan and stick to that plan and focus.
Yeah.
Great. But for what we had and what we did, I think we did pretty well.
Yeah.
But, they were looking at, friends of theirs were in Pond and Tame and the kind of success that they have.
And, they're so close to to the fire or whatever. They're like, I want some more of
Yeah,
that heat.
and they were just grinding. Like, nobody's earning a wage.
Yeah.
Nobody's earning any money. Every dollar that we made went back into the band.
Yeah.
And it was a grind.
Yeah.
And they, 3 years or whatever, it was like just on the cusp of getting to somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe the next album, maybe the next thing. But, so I was devastating because it's like when you manage a band like that, it's not a business decision. It's the same thing as like what happened at Supersonic. It's like, it's not a business decision. It's like you've invested your life. It's like a breakup, like a breaking up with a girl, like a heavy
so
breakup.
much emotions in it.
Yeah, I was devastated. And it was like, it felt like a professional black mark. Like,
did you feel that from other people or just
no,
that in your
it's
head?
just in my head.
Yeah.
And like, people are going to think you're a terrible manager.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't want other people to know that. Yeah. And then I like called back a friend Ross, we've talked about a lot, and my friend Phil.
I hope to have him on. I think.
He's super interesting.
Yeah.
Phil Stevens as well. I called him and he was like, "Oh yeah, man, I've been fired." And Ross was like, "I got fired by Birds of Tokyo." It was like, and he went on to amazing things. He's like, I think Phil Stevens was like, "Yeah, it's really hard when you get fired by the first band." And people I talked to were like, "What? No." And a friend of mine who worked for this publishing company was like, "They will never be on the cover of our thing." Like, obviously just like hyping me up to like, what can we do?
Yeah.
And it, the support was great. So, but it was like this life-shattering thing for a good little while, and then it was a weight had been lifted because I put all my time and money. I turned down jobs, turned down money to just make sure I had time to do this thing. And it was just shattering. And then it was this weight because I didn't have to do all that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't have to answer their emails on Sundays. I didn't have to deal with the drama. I didn't have to deal with all those things that come along with managing 5 people. Individuals, yeah. And I could actually I had free time. Free time to do stuff.
You think that, I think a lot of people outside looking in to being like, oh, you're managing bands, you're getting to go out, you're kind of partying, you're kind of doing all this stuff. But I don't think, and I, even as close as we were, I guess I was in the States, but coming back and you'd be like, oh yeah, I'll catch up for lunch at 11:30 and then let's catch up tonight at 12 or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, he's living the dream kind of thing. But the amount of hard work and that you're doing it on a dime kind of thing.
Yeah, and you're not making anything.
Yeah. Did you have to go into a lot of debt to keep that lifestyle up?
I built up over the years a reasonable credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
That was I was just paying off. You pay it off a bit, and then some check wouldn't come through or whatever, so you'd have to get a little bit more, and then but I eking it out. I didn't have great cash, but I wasn't I was I was working that whole time as well. I was working at the pub at the Norfolk Hotel in Fremantle as a bartender. Yeah. So that was paying my way. And then I remember at one point I quit and I was paying myself $400 a week.
Whoa, that is
huge.
Yeah.
I was living it.
Big time.
Yeah. And that was when I had the club nights and stuff, 2 club nights running, and was making a little bit of money. Yeah. And that was I don't know if the band saw that as Mark's making all this money, but it's all the other things I was doing.
Yeah.
And everything else went into that. So when they fired me, they owed me some money, but there was no way to recover that. So that's how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did.
Little side note, you did 2 of them in the States, and forget the band stuff, but I think this is just such a fun story. You and you're in New York, I fly into New York.
Mind you, I had to have 2 days to recover from the tour because it was
oh yeah,
I'd just been working every day. Yeah. Massive hours. And I was sick halfway through it as well. And but yeah, you fly into New York because I'm dude, I've got this great rate at the Tribeca Grand. Thanks to
I see that in movies and I'm I've stayed there.
I was man, the best thing about touring with a band that everybody loves is that they want to do them favors. And they were super lovely and helped me get this great rate. And I think, I was just like, I am tired. I am knackered. I need to recuperate. And you were like another classic Matt thing of just being like, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll go do that.
That was so fun. Like, we just chilled. And, as you said, like walking through the city. Like,
we walked heaps. We walked like Kings Park. Kings Park. Wrong park.
Yeah.
The Central Park.
Yeah.
Did we do Brooklyn Bridge?
Yeah. I feel like we did.
We definitely intended
just
to.
A month before.
I think you'd done Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah. But we walked everywhere. We got taxis and went to that hot dog place that had the secret room to the side.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was start with a C.
Yeah, I can't remember, but that was super cool. And we went to, I remember we went out. We were super good.
Yeah.
We went to the Guggenheim.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was dope. Museum of Modern Art.
Yeah.
We were like, it was rad. I remember I went to take photos in the Guggenheim and they were like, boom, no.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't realize.
Do you know, we've got that one photo where we're both standing in Central Park over that famous sort of fountain. Like have you seen John Wick, the movies?
Yeah.
And
no, like some of them.
Oh yeah. So I think nearly all of them, maybe just one of them, has like a part where it's at that.
Oh wow.
Like we're on the bridge and we're looking over that sort of pond thing.
Can you send me that photo? I don't think I have that.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to you for sure.
That'd be wicked.
But I think a lot of romantic couples do there, and I think we even sent one back to my wife. Like, hey,
here we are
on a date.
We were sleeping in the same bed. So
yeah, that's true.
It was like
that's not the first time. So.
Stu sleeping in this amazing hotel.
Yeah.
In a king size bed. But yeah, it was super good, and we were really good. We were like, I don't really need to drink. Like, we're gonna be so wholesome.
Yeah,
just really enjoy this time together, like hanging out. We haven't seen each other in years.
Yeah.
And then we went out and went to the bar. It was super close to the hotel.
Well, yeah, we went. I think we hit a couple of spots, right? Because you wanted to find that little record store that only did 12-inch records.
No, it was a bar and they had a jukebox that was loaded with just 12 inches. And I was like, somebody had told me about it. It was near pianos, I think.
Okay.
And they're like, gotta go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Did you know where I was just hoping that, I can't remember what the place was that we played a show. Might have been pianos. A couple of days before. And the door girl was Australian and said, you have to go here. And we went in there to ask about.
Yeah.
But we'd already
had some drinks, right?
She was like, go in there, have some drinks. And also we'd been to another place and had
remember those two
Boilermakers. Yeah. They loved you.
I'd like to think so. That's my demographic, old ladies.
And then it escalated.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Well, remember we were like, couldn't find that bar and this girl was pace walking by us and I, being boozy with you, confidence skyrocketing, I'm like, hey, you look like you're going somewhere important. Can we come? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to a new bar.
My boyfriend owns it.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You guys can definitely come.
Yeah.
And I'll tell how I think it goes and you can maybe tell me how wrong I've got it.
Okay.
Right. So we're pace walking with her. I think her name's Kate. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're chatting, man.
Sounds like an American name.
We rock up to a barber shop and there's a huge line out there. The bouncer's out the front. She looks at it. She's
like, hey, Jimmy, hey, Bob.
Yeah. And she goes, these two are with me. We go into the barber shop and we're like, what the heck is going on?
Like, we're getting killed.
Yeah. And then the line's still in the barber shop. We walk to the back of it. Another bouncer. She goes, these two are with us. We're so hyped. One, excited to be with each other. Excited this crazy thing's happening. And we're like, drinks are on us tonight. And she's like, nah, drinks are on me tonight. So we go in there and then I'm like, oh, let me buy you a drink. And she's like, no. She points to the bartender and points at us and then like two beers just come to us, Mondellos or something like that.
Negra Modelo's. I remember it as like, I didn't know what to order because I couldn't see. And I'm like, at that point, wasn't much of a beer nerd.
Yeah.
And then I think other people were drinking that. And I was like, they looked cool. I was like, I'll just have two of those.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe that was it.
That's it. But beers appear.
Yeah, beers appear. We start drinking. I remember she was we stash our jumpers. Like there's another secret room in there. We stash our jumpers. We come out and we're drinking. We're like, oh yeah, this is cool. Some people are dancing. It's it's a kind of small room. Then I go to get us some more beers. She's standing up on sort of the counter, and I'm like, hey, do you want a drink? And she's like, no. More beers come to us. So now every time I go to the bar,
It's just beers.
beers just coming to us.
I do not remember this, but that's good.
Maybe I'm hyping this up. So I remember coming back out, and I've now made friends with these people sitting around this
in a
table.
booth? Was it like a little, like one of those circular booths?
Yeah. And like the guy, I'm chatting with him, like which is the girl that you're interested in? He's like, that, like, I'm in love with that girl, but she doesn't know it yet. And I'm like, my goal tonight, you guys, this is happening. I remember at that point turning around, you're dancing, doing your little like Sparkles groove, like little head bob, shoulder. There's like, and you had that big beard at the time, remember?
Yeah. Big like lumberjack beard.
And there must have been like 3 or 4 girls just dancing around you. And I'm like, Sparkles is just shining bright right now. And I'm like, I'd come over.
I was making sure I said g'day to everybody.
Then we went to the
g'day.
We went to the Comedy Cellar.
That was a different night, wasn't it?
Yeah, different night.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way we're getting to the Comedy Cellar that night.
No, because when we came, I was like throwing up. Anyway, so at the end of the night, those two I've got them together. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, he's really into you. He seems like a really rad guy. And she's like, I didn't know. And like, you never know what could happen. I would love to find out. That they like are married, 2 kids, living the life. Anyway, so that you and I leave, I can't remember anything from this point other than getting out of the taxi and throwing up.
I remember, okay, you didn't throw up immediately, I don't think.
Not in the taxi, but once I got out.
Did you? Okay. Well, I remember like going to bed.
Yeah.
And you just went to sleep. Oh no, you were like, I just need to I'm going to go throw up in the bathroom. I was like, cool. I went to bed. I woke up in the morning. You were on the floor of the bathroom with like, and you'd used every single towel to throw up
At that point, for some reason, I could not. I think it's because I wasn't drinking anywhere near as much anymore. So when I did drink party like that, my body just hated it.
It's probably like alcohol poisoning.
Maybe it's something like that, right? So I was on the ground, but I couldn't get my head up to the toilet at that. Like even
I thought it was because you were germophobic, and you're like, no, I can't.
No, I'd passed that stage in my life. But I was like, I couldn't get my head up because my stomach wouldn't throw up. It would just be like dry heaving. But if I was on the ground, I'd throw out to the side.
Dangerous play.
Yeah,
you could have choked.
I could have. I didn't.
Yeah, and I remember like the next morning. It was probably a dumb thing to do on the last night you're in New York, but we bundled you into I ordered you a car to the airport.
Yeah.
I remember like I had to go out for the whole day because I couldn't like bear the shame of your vomit towels. So I left a note with like $20 US on the counter, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like my friend stayed last night and he is an idiot.
Yeah.
He's a lightweight. But yeah, I remember you like, I think it was like the next day or something, you texted me and you were like, yeah, I threw up in my favorite hat.
Yeah, I fully did. In the taxi, because I didn't want to throw up in their taxi. So I'm like, in there, I'm getting to that. Throw up in that. Throw it in the bin. Walk in there. I'm breaking sweat. I can barely make it to the gate. Finally get to the gate. I get on the plane. I'm like, okay, I was luckily window seat, and I was like, put your head on the window.
A cold window,
and you're good the whole way.
Yeah.
Have that, but there is a school that has like flying back from New York, and they're so excited, and they're just like, this is so rad. Like they're doing all dances and rocking the seat, and I'm just like, oh my god, that was the worst.
I'm glad you didn't throw up on a school child.
No.
That would have been
imagine that. Well, they were like teenagers, but
they could have handled
worse stuff than I was.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
that was great. That was good fun.
It was fun. I loved that.
It was a defining moment.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's good. It's like,
the barbershop stuff that was
just
so
one of those
New
like,
York.
but it's like it's an experience that you dream about having. Like when you travel, like you're looking for those unique experiences. That becomes a good story. And I got into this thing that no one else was going to, or whatever. Had this crazy you're looking for a local experience, like you live there and you know it.
Yeah.
And we got lucky enough to have that for like one night.
Yeah.
And we were like young and dumb enough to make the most of it.
Yeah.
I can just drink all the free beers instead of being like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
Just like, nah,
It was
live it up. It was great.
It was so good.
It was really good.
So back to the sidetrack. So you've been fired by Growl. You've been supported by your network, and you've got all the free time in the world.
Yeah, and then I was like, I've got free time. What should I do? No, it kind of added up by that point that I didn't know anything about business.
Did anyone bring that to you, or did you, in your brain, be like, this is where I'm lacking?
No, I figured out, I had a conversation with Jodie Regan at one point, just talking about managing bands and stuff. And she was like, I was like, what happened? Like trying to get some advice. And she was like, at some point, I realized I needed to get good.
Yep.
I needed to be very good at this. And I was like, wow, okay.
She was saying that about herself.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you mean she was saying you needed to get good at this.
No. She's like, about herself. She's like, yeah, I realized like if I was going to keep doing this, I need to be good at it. Like, I need to be really good at it. I need to know all the things and be a very good manager. And I realized I just don't know anything about business and how business works and how to make, strategic decisions and like all of those things. And I started reading business books. I remember I picked up a copy of this, like, do an MBA.
Business for Dummies.
Like kind of thing. And I was just burnt through it. I read it in like a couple of days. I was just super into it. And then I started looking around for courses, and this UWA had just, University of Western Australia had released this like full-time MBA. So you could get it done in a year.
Yep.
And I knew that I wouldn't be good at sticking it out.
Yeah, if it was like a part-time 2 years or 3 years.
3 years part-time, no, that's not going to happen. So, and I didn't have anything to do. Like, I wasn't really enjoying the job I had. Yep. And I was like, so I just...
So how do you go about like affording or going like, I'm going to do a year of full-time schooling? Like that seems more daunting than like trying to piecemeal it together over...
But at that point, I'd never had money, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I knew I could live cheap.
Yeah.
I was living in a share house. I had, I'd always lived really cheap. I didn't have stuff. I had a little bit of debt. Like I had my credit card. But other than that, I'm like, man, I've been living on $400 a week. Like paying rent, buying food. Like, how
much did rent cost out of that?
Like $200.
Dang. So your like just life is $200
a week. Yeah.
Dang.
So fuel, food, everything.
Condoms for all the banging.
Beers. I think, so I just good at living cheap. And then I just went back and I was like, what's the one thing I know I can do after hours when I'm not studying? It's working in a bar.
Yep.
So I went back to work as a bartender and did study during the day and at night, and then bartend at night, and then have no time off for a whole year. Just like crazy grinding. Like just...
So what... you don't have to go too deep, but what does an average day/week look like in that world, right? Because people say, oh man, I didn't take a day off.
Be at uni at like 8, maybe.
Yeah.
Study in the morning. Classes during the day. Then study assignment work until 8 at night. Then depending if later if I didn't have a shift, probably study till like 7 if I had a shift, because I'd start at 8.
Yeah. And was studying like recommended by the schooling, or was it just you needed to like keep up to speed?
Oh no, like your daytime is like just classwork, and then if you're gonna do all the things that you need to do and learn, you have to do that after hours. Like that's understood.
Yep.
It's group work. It's like getting your assignments together. It's studying, like learning how to do managerial finance. It's,
Yep.
you know, learning economics because you've never studied economics before in your life. Like, if you don't do a certain amount of study, then
it's just all waste.
Yeah, you can't get away just doing the hours at like the contact hours.
Yep.
And I've learned like there's really great, really efficient people that worked there that taught just by watching them and listening to them, taught me that, oh, this is how you do it. And that you know, that's where I learned about the 100%, which is what a groundbreaking concept. But
I think it like there's been so many things that I think the smallest change can make the biggest thing. So like that might have been your small change. I've got one where it's like, I remember growing up poorer, and I would look at other people, not so much negatively, but I'd be like, oh, why can't I have that? Like, why wasn't I born into that sort of luxury or something like that? And not that it might have been just people that were above average. And to me, far out. You guys got a car? Like, boom. But I remember I got to an age where I was like, turn the tone of why can't I to, oh, why can't I? Why can't I do that for myself?
Yeah.
And that, like, it seems so silly, but I remember that change, and it still drives me to this day. Like, even starting this stuff where I've been super nervous about and been like,
why can't I do it?
Why can't I do it? Why can't I give it a crack? Like, see how it goes.
Yeah, totally. And that, for me, it was like groundbreaking to see and learn from these people that were like, well, I learned that, you know, I can accept it. If I put in this amount of study, I'm going to get this grade.
Yep.
If I want to get to the next level, I need to put in this much more study.
Yep.
So because I was working, I knew my best grade is going to be a distinction.
Yeah.
Like an HD is the top, but I knew I couldn't, the amount more effort you needed to put in to get that extra 5% or 10% to get you to a HD. Yeah. I didn't have time.
Yeah. You didn't have time or the willingness?
No, I didn't have time. I literally did not have the time.
Yeah.
I would have done it.
Yeah.
But I had to go work.
Yeah.
And there were other people that didn't have to do that, and that's cool. But I just didn't have time to do it. So,
sorry for the noise of the chainsaw that's happening outside. But we're just going to have to fight through that.
Maybe it's not coming through.
Maybe.
So I did. Yeah, I didn't have time to do it. So I just knew that I'd work at night, study during the day. Very rarely got to party or hang out, and couldn't sacrifice the time of being hungover.
Yeah.
I
find that even now, like these days, I'm like, I can't.
And it's more brutal. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, just couldn't sacrifice that time to be tired or anxious or.
Do you look back on this whole stuff and just go like, you're really proud of yourself for making that sacrifice then? I look at it as your friend.
Yeah.
I look at you and go, you had this like cool job, like even if it wasn't doing well from the outside, you're like, you're a cool cat. People are like loving you. Walking downtown now, there's still tons of people that are like, hey Sparkles, hey this, hey that. But going like, hey, I'm stopping that, and I'm going to change the direction of my life because I want to or need to. I look back at you and I'm proud as a friend to go like, wow, he did that.
It was a big ego hit to be like, I'm not going to work in music anymore.
Yeah.
Smashed. Like, because you're so tied up in that, like you're so much cachet and like having free tickets to shows and knowing people who were in bands and managed bands and that, and be able to like shut that off and be like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do this other thing. And I've got all these friends that just work in music, and they hang out with people who just work in music. And but it just, you figure out who you're actually friends with as well. Not that there was any brutal like friend breakups or anything, but people just fade away. Yeah.
Like he's not in that circle. Like we're
I don't
meeting
speak
up
to him about stuff, and we don't hang out at these events. And,
Did you? I feel like from being back here and seeing you, you've got a lot of friends that are still within, like, have kept in contact with you that are still in that world? Like, they purposely reach out to you.
Yeah, and they're the ones that are like, oh, you've connected on a level that's outside of what it is that you do.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I think that's kind of like true friendship.
Mm-hmm.
It's like regardless of, what your job is or what you're out there doing, you're still friends. But yeah, I think, what was like?
So sorry, about your confidence of, like, I looked at you doing all that stuff and being like, again, and maybe this is your personality, like you did it back when you were younger, like you worked 2 jobs with a goal to get, knowing that if you saved all this money, you're going to be able to do traveling so much, and you're like just doing it again, sacrificing stuff, setting yourself a goal, and knowing your limits as well.
I just think I figured out I couldn't get anywhere else if I didn't figure out this business thing.
Yep.
And, I realized I'd made some poor decisions because I didn't understand value of stuff. And yeah, I needed that. And it was like, I also didn't really understand that or didn't factor in, man, it's really expensive to do an MBA.
That's what that's why I was wondering how you.
Well,
it seems daunting.
Hex, right? So we defer that payment for a long time, or help.
How much does a MBA cost?
That's 60 grand, 50, 60 grand. I got a scholarship as well, which was cool.
Oh yeah.
I did okay in my entry test, and then there was a bunch of scholarships going around because it was a new program. So I was lucky enough to get one of those, which cut some of that out, which is cool. But you don't have to pay that up front.
Yeah.
So you still got to pay for your books and stuff, which is super expensive. Like, managerial finance books, like $150. So that's
How
like,
is it
there's
so
your week's
expensive
wage.
for that?
Because it's like a monopoly.
Yeah.
So, and they change it every year.
Yeah.
It's a rort, but anyway.
So we go through that. You've been for a year. You've basically been studying or working.
Mm-hmm. And not doing much else. I was not piss fit by the end of that year. Like I was like
a couple of drinks,
a couple of beers, and I'm anybody's.
Yeah. Dang it, I missed out.
Yeah, I know.
So you go through that, and you get towards. Is there anything highlights you had through that experience, like working with people or your teams or people
friends? Man, I made some great friends. Like it's like you're in the trenches together because it's hard. It's endurance studying.
Yeah.
And it's like, made some good friends. Like my friend Hassan is in Melbourne. We still keep in contact. My friend Dougie, who's like a Michael Douglas. You might have heard of him.
Oh, yeah.
Not the actor. But he's a lawyer and he's now a senior lecturer at UWA in law. And he's on the news all the time.
Oh, wow.
I talk to him about stuff. But he's a super talented dude.
Yeah.
Just keeping in contact with those people.
So a lawyer went and got an MBA?
Yeah. It's just like it's an all-round.
Not enough.
Yeah, he's an overachiever. Yeah, that's his problem. He's doing his PhD now, so.
Oh, far out.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a great degree to allow you to like either go further in what you're doing, or pivot to something else, change completely. So yeah, and I didn't know what job I wanted afterwards until I was like half towards the end.
Yeah. Does it open up like what jobs? Like, did you go in going, I have this limited knowledge of what jobs are available doing this MBA, and then once you start going through it, you're like, it's like you started as a tree trunk, now you see the branches and the leaves of how many opportunities there are doing it.
Yeah, and you can see like, you get to, the great thing about that course was like we got introduced to a whole bunch of different people, like CEOs of companies and stuff, and you can kind of investigate what might be an option for you.
Yeah.
And with my like classic, master, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
I was like, management consulting, man. It's like this great way to do many different things and be good at those things, but you don't have to be an expert at anything.
And you're able to delegate a lot of stuff, right? So something you had to work on before where you were, say, trying to do it all yourself. No. Now you can
Now you're surrounded by incredibly talented people who are, some of them are incredibly talented at specific things.
Yeah.
or, you know, or they're more talented than you at it. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to build a financial model for this. I'll call Ian and he's going to get him on my team and he can do that part of that job, and then get this other person because they're great at, you know, strategic thinking. And I get that. And it's like, you can build a miniature team. That's everything you're doing. You're building a little team.
Yeah.
And they will, like you can build the team that you need for that specific job.
Do you feel like any of the music stuff you learnt has given you a slight advantage over some people because you look at stuff differently, or you had to throw it out and you're like, I'm just in here with this MBA knowledge? Not that you can be completely that way, but
yeah, I think what I take from the music stuff is like knowing how to talk to people and like be interested in them, and like that maturity of like just doing stuff yourself for a long time.
Yep.
Of like, you know, when you're doing that, it's like you are the business, you're the BD person, so you can have conversations with people about their business and about, you know, and also just build rapport, which is key, because we're all about clients. So it's like, if you don't get along, it makes it a lot harder to do your job.
To get the job done. Yep.
So I bring that, but yeah, I think, I don't know, it's mostly, you know, if I didn't have the MBA, I couldn't do the job that I do now. Like, I just wouldn't have the skills.
Wow.
I wouldn't know. Yeah, I couldn't talk to someone about their business and like figure out how to refine a process and what goes into that if I didn't have those MBA skills. So yeah, but I also learnt on the job a lot as well.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of stuff, even stuff I've done where I think I know what I'm doing, and then I'm like get into the actual job of it, and I'd be like, oh no, I'm learning as I go, and then I hold that knowledge for a little bit.
And yeah, and music teaches you to pretend that you know what you're doing.
Oh yeah,
and
fake
part
it till
of
you make it.
Yeah, and part of management consulting is like, I don't know how to do that, but I know how to figure out how to do that,
or how to ask the questions.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get it done.
So yeah, it's a bit of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. So one of the things that I love, as we've spoken about, is that you're made a left turn and you've started doing your business management, but you've also kept your passion alive by doing the Aardvark Bar.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Or we may be getting a little long, so you might want to like
Keep it tight.
Oh yeah, just keep it tight. And then also, what does it take to run something like that outside of your 9 to 5? Just so then people sort of listening are not like, oh, he went to business management school and now he's just magically doing this on the side.
Okay, so I think it came about because through like doing the MBA, I was booking the Norfolk basement music stuff. So I was doing the bar thing and then doing the music bookings.
Okay.
And then they were going to close. And I'd kind of I realized when I was doing my day job, I couldn't keep doing that. So I'd brought this other guy in, Greg Sanders, and he was doing the booking stuff and I was kind of just maintaining the relationship and doing accounts and things like that. And then they were going to close it down.
Yeah.
So close this music venue, and I thought that was outrageous. And I just saw there's so much untapped potential there. If we could control more of it, we could do a better job of it. Like we didn't own the marketing, we didn't own the brand, we didn't own anything. So negotiated over a very long period of time, and it came down to this like Jerry Maguire speech, like where I like threw out this amazing story, and there was 3 no's, and I turned 3 no's into 2 yeses and a no.
Oh wow. Does that no give you any hassle still, or is it?
No, like. Yeah, I mean, it's still, they have really high expectations and we manage those, but as they should.
Yeah.
And then we just took over the brand and
how long has Aardvark been running for?
2 years now. Okay. So, but it's about having a great team to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I do 5 hours a week. Yeah. Maybe. But Greg does most of the things. He books it, he's driving it. He's like operations guy, runs it on that level and, building relationships and things. And I'm more relying on the relationships that I have and keeping the pub owners happy. Yeah. But yeah,
does your negotiating skills, are they much better now that you have your MBA and
I think so.
Yeah.
Because you realize, like, what's the downside if it
Yeah.
doesn't work out? Is like it closes, which would be a shame.
Yeah.
But it's not worth grinding and losing a ton of money
Yeah.
in something that, like, while I'm willing to like sacrifice for it, there would come a point if it's not successful where you realize you have to stop. So I think it's that realization that the downside is not as serious because, you know, it's happened a lot before.
Sorry about that. There was a bit of light just flashing straight in my eye, and I couldn't like look at you.
You're like blinded
Yeah.
by the lights. So yeah, I love it. It's great. It's great to have it as a passion on the side, and I really thinking that's great about it is the people that work there.
Yeah.
So they're great, and it's kind of like when you want to give up, it's like realizing that it's their job and they like doing it.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it. That's what keeps you going.
Do you treat them differently than how you were treated in the music industry, or?
I certainly try.
Yeah.
Like, with
I just
Greg,
didn't know if it was like the nature of the beast. You're like, sorry, I had to go through these.
yeah. I got hazed. You have to get hazed.
Yeah, like I didn't know if that's sort of the thing, or
I don't know. It's probably you'd have to ask them, but I think with Greg, I try to be as open with like finances and stuff as I possibly can. So
so he doesn't think you're just like
I'm raking in the dough, and he's like working super hard. So he knows what the outcome is, so he can see, okay, well, I make this much, and that is this proportion of what's being made, and is that fair? Yeah. So if he thinks it's fair, and I think it's fair, then
you're good.
We're sweet.
It seems like you guys have a pretty good relationship with that stuff.
Yeah, I think we're more like over the 3-4 years that we've been working together, we're now like friends as well, and we have that trust.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah,
it seems like you still enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's like not a hassle of a thing. You know?
No, and sometimes I do have to remind myself that I enjoy it.
Oh,
like sometimes you're like stressed, like, are we going to be able to pay those bills, or like how to shuffle? Because I don't think people understand that small music venues don't make much money. So when bands are thinking, why are they charging us a venue high fee or whatever? It's like they're charging a venue high fee so we can stay open. Right? Because it is a passion project as well. Mm-hmm. It's not like never going to be a millionaire off that. I think it's just it's passion but I need to remind myself that there's a bar, and I've always dreamed about having a live music venue, and now I could just go there and like hang out and drink beers and watch bands, and that's cool. That is like that's like really good fun.
Yeah, I tell people I think I'm cool when I tell people that I know the guy that runs that, like just by association.
Yeah, and I often forget. It's easy to forget those things.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And just be like, it's just a thing that I do. Yeah. And then you're like, hang on a second. That's not... And I don't mean cool as in like, what a cool dude. No, I mean like, it's a fun thing. And it's like cool something that should be enjoyed. Yeah. Like, it's there so other people can enjoy it. And amazingly, I can enjoy it too. Like, So I do think once we reopen after COVID, I'm definitely going to try and make more time to do it. Yeah. To get in there.
Well, let me know. I'll come down anytime.
Yeah, now you live here, so you got no excuse.
Yeah. The one thing do you ever set like ridiculous goals for yourself? Like just in your mind, you may not even share them as much, but like I also do this thing where I set these like weird little goals, even though they may not come to fruition. It sort of gives me a target to keep going towards. And I was just with this podcast leading up, and I was talking to my wife about it, and it's hard to doubt because I know you know her, and I don't know. Do I keep saying Jillian or do I go wife? I've got to find that balance. But anyway, I was talking to her. I was like, like Dax Shepard does a podcast, and there's other people that do podcasts, and they tour around. And I was like, it'd be really fun if I set myself a goal of within a year hosting a live podcast at the Aardvark and then having it sold out like that is a goal in my head now.
I'll give you a discount on your venue hire.
I didn't even want that. I just want to be able to, if I know that I could make it happen,
Yeah.
that would be the.
Yeah, man. You got to have goals.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's like life gets a bit boring.
Right.
I find out it's like I need that change. I need that growth.
Yeah.
Or I get bored. So I set myself
I need that target
things.
A little bit just to go. Like if you're just going to start something and be like, well, where does it go? If I have no target, then I can't chip away at that goal.
And one thing I've learned is also like, you got to be happy. Try and embrace where you are. Like if you're always looking at the target, you'd never get to like if you're always looking at how do I make the bar better, you never get to enjoy going to the bar.
Yeah. I fully agree with that. That's something I struggle with a lot.
Yeah, same.
Especially Gillian, my wife, aka Meats, she will be like, just enjoy the moment, because I'll be like, that drawing was good, but the next one, or I'll be really stoked when this level happens.
I finished that illustrating that children's book, which was something I wanted to do for so long, but what's the next thing?
Exactly. Like I just finished the children's book that I just posted recently, and like I was so stoked on everyone, like so appreciative of everyone saying good job, well done, so like stoked. But in my mind, I'm already working on the next one, going like, oh cool, I'll get to that when it actually does come out in my mind and enjoy it. But then I know when it comes out, then I'll be like, but I'm moving on this one, so I have to work better about being. And the last podcast I did with Tom, he spoke about enjoying that moment. Well, so I've been trying to appreciate that stuff a little bit as well.
Appreciate this moment, Matt.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. Okay, all right. So this has gone on for quite a chunk, and I don't know where I'm going to edit this down, and I don't know if I can.
There's a whole bit of me talking. You can take that out.
Every piece of you talking, I'll just take it. So let's just rattle through these end questions, and then
okay, are these like quick? We can make them quick.
Yeah, let's maybe try and make them quick, but I doubt with the way we talk it's going to happen. So, what is something you wish you did more of?
I wish I did more of.
It can be personal, can be business, can be grooming.
Yeah. Shave my back. I think I'd probably relax. Take time to relax. I wish I had a hobby. I'm working on that.
Well, you play, like, your thing is like playing video games, right? You're so productive, though. Why do you need a hobby? Are you talking like tennis or something like that? Or?
Well, just now I don't have the bar because it's closed.
Yeah.
I realised I don't really have a hobby. So, but I mean, it's nothing you can't pick up, right? Just figure something out.
You can pick the guitar back up.
Yeah, no, something new. I'm no good at that, Matt. We talked about it.
Yeah, that's right. You can find something else you're not good
at.
Yeah.
I'm also no good at Call of Duty, but yet.
Yeah, it's until.
Going to be a streamer.
You could be.
No,
start that. No. But just curse out little kids the whole time.
Yeah.
Only pick someone who's like 7.
Yeah.
Like, why are you on here, you piece of... Like, I feel bad even trying to fake say that.
Yeah.
What is a piece of knowledge that you wish you took on board earlier? I think we touched on that, but you can quickly...
I think, just that thing about, like, use your time and your resources wisely. Like, you've figure that out and say no to stuff.
Say no to stuff. And figure out what to say no to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, value your time and effort.
Okay. Shout out to some people you get stoked on or maybe have influenced you, or I know you've hit some, but it might be a good chance to...
Yeah. I think Phil and Ross with their, like, they own the, 2 pubs now. Ross has got, like, crazy good business doing, like, mini festivals and managing Xavier Rudd and stuff like that. Like, just stoked on those guys and how they go and do cool things and just, like, make it happen. They make stuff happen.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're nice dudes as well.
Yeah.
Like,
that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's like nice dudes and they do cool stuff and they make things happen and they help people.
Yeah.
Out. Like, Phil's done so much for me and like Ross as well. It's like, but they do cool things. So I was super stoked on them and I hope that they wish them all the success.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Who else am I stoked on? I think you, man. Like, you do cool stuff.
You.
You know, like you used to suck at drawing. When we first met, your art was terrible, and I never told you that. But
I remember you telling me that a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, it was that bad.
it was really bad, but you stuck at it, and you like got good.
Yeah.
Like, 10,000 hours or whatever it is that you become a.
Do you know? There was a point when I was working at Nintendo, and I was like, I should just really make sure I draw a lot. Like, I don't know why, but it's just like at that point I was like, so I don't feel like I really started like thinking of drawing.
Yeah.
And now I can't even get enough of it. Like, I was on the couch last night. Tonight I'll be there, like just every drawing all the time. But anyway.
No, that's so good.
Yeah.
I'm stoked for that. I think that's great. Who else is there? Who else am I stoked on? I think. I think Phil Stevens as well, from like a management perspective.
Yeah.
I know he's getting old, but
so Phil Stevens does
John Butler, The Waifs, Stella Donnelly, and he's got he's got his little protege Harris that manages Carla Geneve as well. But yeah, just he's a great manager.
Yeah.
Of bands, and like really knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And really looks after them, builds like, he doesn't build them careers, he builds like them businesses, and like they grow their wealth through what they do, like, which is great because it's not, the music thing doesn't last forever.
Yeah. And so, if you could be hot and then flatline for a little bit.
Yeah. Or even just peters out, but you've still got this other thing that you've built up, or like whatever. That's great.
Yeah. Do you think you'd be interested in coming on here? Or is he too busy for that stuff?
I don't know. I think
maybe build up a little bit.
Give it a go, man. Give
it a crack.
Yeah.
I'll just say I know Sparkles.
Yeah, totally.
And drop your name everywhere.
Yeah, do that. I think those are probably like the people that I know that I'm stoked on.
Cool. Yeah. All right. That's good.
Pretty local. Just dudes I know.
Just dudes, that's all. That's what it was for. Just to give shout out to people.
It's like the end of my album. Yeah. Doing the shout outs.
Just doing the shout outs.
Yeah.
Shout out to. Okay, so it's your gloat time. What is something you're proud of, but you don't get the opportunity to talk about?
Oh man.
Unlike me, where
I've had like 2.5 hours of talking about it.
Well, I guess you like.
What's something that I do that I'm stoked on?
It's something that you're proud of, that inside yourself you're like, oh dang, I wish people really knew that, or that came up in talking a bit more. Maybe your missus. You'd be like, I wish you really appreciated how I wash the dishes in the counterclockwise circles.
I wish, I cooked dinner and washed the dishes some nights combined.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
you don't seem like the guy that has that.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I'm stoked on most stuff I've done.
Yeah.
But I don't need to talk.
There's nothing about your personality where you're just like, hey, this is my shining piece that I love.
No. I don't know. Because I get to talk about, like, people are super interested in the music stuff, so I get to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems weird. Like, I work in corporate world now, so they're like, "Wow, music! Like, what's up? Oh, that's amazing." To the point now where I'm like, I kind of shy away from talking about it.
Yeah. Because
it feels like I'm showing off.
Yeah. Imagine if I had that stuff to back me up. My ego.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, there isn't anything. Like, I'm pretty happy, and I feel like I've got credit, and I've got enough credit for what I did.
You've done.
One thing I'd love to do that I don't know if I'd be good at, but I'd love to be on a panel. You know how people they ask experts about stuff?
Yeah.
Just wish there was something I was real good at that
I
could be on a panel, like for my birthday.
Oh my god!
Just a fake crowd.
No, but maybe that's the thing that we do at the, like, I'll be the podcast, but we do a panel of like just chatting about
people who know stuff.
Yeah, just about like like different, maybe it starts business as the central thing, but you've got someone music industry, you got someone this industry and that, and then you're like, how does this all mesh?
And you've got like somebody who's an expert at music, somebody who's an expert at business, then Mark, who's like knows a bit about other stuff.
Yeah.
All these things. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We could,
Dunno.
I'm down for that stuff. You know, I'm down for crazy ideas to try and get going. Okay. One last thing, and this thing, Jillian and I try and do every night, and we do 3 gratefuls each. Mm-hmm. And they can be huge. They could be like, I'm grateful that we live in a place where we have fresh air, right? Or it can be as minuscule as, hey, I thought I got a paper cut today and I didn't. Yeah, that was awesome. So what are 3 gratefuls?
So number 1 would be Layla, my fiance. Mm-hmm. Super grateful. Like,
great girl.
Yeah, we've got a great relationship and got a beautiful little home that we've got together.
Hitting above your weight class.
100%. I'm so grateful that she settled for me. I really ground her down on that. 5 dates. 5 dates.
5 days. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Stoked on that. I think that's great. Like central part to my adult life, which is awesome. Yeah. What else am I grateful for? At the moment, I'm grateful for Fridays off.
Like that's a good way to take
COVID
virus. Yeah.
Thing, like work cut down to everybody's on 80%. Mm-hmm. So we get 1 day off a week. So I've taken Fridays off, and I'm embracing it as like my free day to do stuff.
Do you work on those days at all?
I'm trying not to.
Oh,
might do a little bit, like a couple of emails or something if something pops up. But yeah, I went to the bank and put a check into my account today. Yeah, like little life admin stuff. I'm here hanging out. I'm going to go to Mills Records later.
Is so gold. Yeah, people don't realize. So when I used to work at a little design firm, I used to do 4 10s. Yeah, and I had a weekday off. It was amazing. No lines anywhere.
I know, man. I'm like, oh, it's the best. So,
and then you got a 3-day weekend. Basically,
my goal is at some point to actually go to 3 days eventually.
Yeah. Do 3 10s or just do 3
days off. Yeah. So 4 days, 4-day work, 3 days off.
I wonder how many businesses are going to be like, hey, we're running at this capacity. Yeah. We're going to stay like this.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably more.
I know there's a few studies done where they've said people's work time, they should only work 6 hours a day and work 32 hours a week. And there's other startups over in the States that are like, hey, we only do 3-day works, but it's like 10-hour days, but there's no social media, no personal calls, and you have 4 days off a week or whatever it is.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
I mean, that's cool. I like thinking differently about work. And also, like, I think like hours per day is like a weird measure.
It is
for productivity. They're not actually related.
Do you know what's that? So Jillian is the most productive person I have ever met, and I'm not trying to be biased. Actually, sometimes
what's up? Shout out to Jillian.
Yeah, shout out to Jillian. What? It's actually it can be a bit frustrating. Like I can walk to the fridge trying to put like a glass away, like a drink, and it's like I'm walking in slow mo, and she's like put 17 things away. She's written an email. She's high-fived our kids. She's consoled one of them. And I'm still slowly placing it down.
And she's still with you.
I know.
So
I don't know what it is.
There we are.
That's some magic over her. All right,
you know something, don't you?
I've got one dark secret about her. I'm not letting it go.
Yeah.
What is the last grateful?
I think just getting opportunity to do stuff. So, having the opportunity, like being able to, being in a place or a time or having whatever to be able to take a year off to do my MBA. There's some people that just aren't, that's not an option. Or start at the bottom of a firm and work my way up because I don't need to make enough money. Having those opportunities to do those things, it's certainly a bit of a privilege. It's not something that's open to everybody. So I'm grateful definitely for
that's a
for
good
that.
one. I really like that one. Thank you very much for 1, being my friend, for 2, coming on this and letting me chew your brain for, I think it might be 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But I had
And
so
I've
much
only
fun.
needed to pee for like half of it. So we're good.
My legs are freezing. I've been half trying not to shiver. Just on the last thing, what would you want people to follow on you? So if they like the Aardvark Bar on Instagram and stuff like that.
Like my social media is private, so I think
That's
people
because
could,
all the weird stuff you post, but
I should post stuff. I don't really. Now follow the Aardvark. So it's Facebook is the Aardvark Bar and the Instagram is the Aardvark Bar. Or you can follow Bespoke Touring, our website bespoketouring.com.au, or our Instagram is Bespoke Touring AU, because there's a tour company in the US that stole the handle. But yeah, that would be great if you could follow those things.
yeah,
Check them out.
Get out there, follow them, and thanks again.
Thank you, Matt.
Much love. I'm so grateful you'd be here. Thanks so much for listening. If you want to see how I reimagined the interview into an illustration, please head over to Instagram and follow @DrawnToYourStory. If you'd like to own your own print of the illustration, take yourself over to maddiemitchellbooks.com/DrawnToYourStory and you can grab one there. You can also watch the drawing in progress and listen to the interview at the same time over at YouTube. Just search Drawn to Your Story. For more illustrations, creativity, and a touch of shenanigans, follow @MaddieMitchellBooks. Thanks so much, guys, and I can't wait for the next one.